Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 237. Fresh off too many games, which is a blast. Let us know in the chat if you guys went there. Me, Click, Jordan, Evan, Max, we're all there. MVG and Nate. Well, they just didn't go. Neither did Sean.
Sean was there in laptop form.
He was kind of there. He was in laptop form. Sean was busy doing nothing. But at least this weekend he is moving, so that's why he's actually not on the Spawncast tonight. We should see his new setup next weekend. Yay. He said he's gonna have a whole new setup now at this place. So I don't know if he's gonna do a tour of like his arcade room or any of that, but you should at least see some of it pretty soon. I think starting this week. So that's exciting stuff there. Today though we have a bunch of things to go over. Mostly it was quiet week until Friday. Like Friday things just absolutely exploded with this Nintendo Switch Online, so we'll talk about that. But I also want to talk about Metroid Dread because I got a chance to play all the way through it, and actually quite a few of us have had a chance to at least play it now, so I figured we would talk about that. And then I threw Grand Theft Auto Trilogy in there in case we have some extra time, although I do think it's going to be fully revealed in like the next week or two because there's so much information out there about it at this time. And we do have a sponsor tonight. We're going to thank Honey for sponsoring tonight's podcast. We'll talk more about them in about an hour or so. Evan, you want to start us with a Discord question before we go around and introduce everyone?
All right. We'll start up with, do you think GTA 5 will release on the next Switch after GTA 6 releases? Guessing it's a bit of a troll question. But yeah.
That would be funny. I don't doubt it. I feel like that's something Rockstar might try to do. I would like to think they'd get GTA 6 though on the next Switch, just because it hopefully would be capable for it. Let me go around here. MVG, how are we doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
And we got Max, Dreamcast guy. Good to see you back at home after too many games. It was a blast, fun weekend, and you got the OLED.
Finally got the OLED, yes. Oh my gosh, I gotta tell you, Dread on this thing looks insane.
Yep. Then we got Jordan Fringe.
Glad to be here.
Good to have Jordan here. We got Miss Click.
Hi, I miss you guys. That was too much fun.
It was. Too many games was an absolute blast. We have Evan.
Yep.
And then we have Nate.
Yes.
All right, good. Nate's here. I thought you were gonna have to like step away for a bit there after we went live. Okay.
I was just stretching.
Stretching.
Yeah, let us know if anyone in chat, let us know if any of you were at Too Many Games. We had a panel. It was a lot of fun. I don't think we recorded it. We at least didn't set it up. I think next year, because we're gonna go to Too Many Games next year, maybe we'll set up a recording for it so we can then just post online. Yeah, I think that's the plan. But we did it was
So
what like 80 minutes
at your panel.
We did like Q&A, and then we talked about Dread a bit, and then we attempted to get Sean involved by having him Discord call in, which we probably could have got Nate on that too. Got Nate to Discord call in as well in that, but it worked out eventually. We got Sean hooked up to the audio in the room, and that was probably a mistake.
So loud.
Yeah, there were kids in the crowd, so
yeah, little kids. It was great.
Exactly. Oh no is right for that.
I mean,
they learned a lot that day.
Yeah, right. It was like little kids being like, I like Miss Click, and then it's like RGT just gets on the mic and it's like, let me tell you about where meat goes. I'm like, whoa.
what?
It was fun though to kind of hang out, do the panel and everything. But then we also did like the signing where we got to meet a lot of people and just going around the convention.
I saw a
center.
YouTube video where a person went to your booth to meet you. And I kind of laughed because the whole video, they're like, this is Spawnway from the Spawncast. This is Dreamcast guy. And you can see Click and Jordan waving in the background. And the guy just cut off the video. He didn't even acknowledge that he met them. It was just like, this Dreamcast guy and Spawnwave.
No, there were so many people. Yo, Spawn's got this whole like, someone brought him a full printed out shirtless picture. Like
I have the photo.
I signed it too.
Mom, daughter, father, son, whole family. Can you sign this picture? And this man over here.
It was a
blushing.
It was a nice image.
It was so fun. It's a nice image. Yeah, of course. It's of yourself.
It was a nice
so
image.
Funny.
Here it is. The lighting was great.
Yeah. It's Spawnwave signing a shirtless picture of himself. How terrible is my terrible phone? But it was so funny. It was like this like 16-year-old girl be like, could you sign your own apps? Like, yeah, okay, sure.
It was a good picture. It was a good picture.
Blown up and glossy. Oh my god.
But it was a fun weekend. We got to hang out. We went out to eat, did all kinds of stuff. And I did find some GameCube games. Found some good stuff. I think I just about completed the Resident Evil collection on the GameCube. I found 2 and 3.
How much is 3 going for these days?
I think they were both near $100.
Ooh, damn.
Yeah. And unfortunately they keep climbing. They're very difficult to find in good condition. And they were both complete and they were pretty solid. And you look on like eBay and they're like messed up and it's still over $100. It's crazy.
All they are is PS1 games.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not improved anyway. It's
that's not true. 2
No,
is actually
those ones are improved.
negligible.
2 is considered the best port of the game.
Yeah, it is good.
But still,
it's good on the GameCube. It's solid stuff there, but it's collecting the GameCube stuff is super expensive. There was a Cubivore there, but it actually went. I only got to see it once, and then I came back around.
Video,
and it was gone.
Pokemon Box was there too.
Pokemon Box. I saw both of them next to each other, and I looked at Cubivore for a little while because it was like actually done up in like the plastic casing and everything. It was protected.
Yeah, you were debating it.
Yeah, I thought about coming back. So I came back around, and it was gone. So
You didn't go up to the guy and say, "Do you know who I am?"
They already said they knew who he was, which is why they weren't budging on the price.
How about this?
But yeah, I saw that. Jordan did pick up that.
Nice.
Yeah. So I got a little Resident Evil stuff.
Did you get your Charmander?
No, I questioned about that, and he goes, "Oh, I forgot."
1 year later, Charmander remains in a bag.
I'll bring it next year.
Next time.
Just gotta remember to take it from your front yard.
You know who was there at too many games? This was odd. Wada was there.
Yeah.
And so was there were like 4 of them, and then the Heritage Auctions was also there. I took a picture. I got a picture with him. It was very nice.
Did they rate your picture a 9.2?
The shirtless one.
So I talked to him and they were like, "We're not actually selling these games; they're just for display purposes." So they had
buying up all the new games.
Yeah, so they had literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of games in all these gigantic sealed like guarded cases, and then in the morning they'd also go around and start buying up more games to later grade. It was really weird. It was really weird. Yeah, it was spooky.
I want to recognize Chris becoming a member. Thank you, Chris. And then Agent Redbeard Plays. Let's do we just want to start with the Nintendo Switch Online stuff? Because this was a whole thing.
Get it out of the way, man.
Get it out of the way. Let's go.
Yeah. So this was
called it.
so this was this surprising anyone that was part of the Animal Crossing? Like I did not expect this to be like announced in the Animal Crossing Direct. It just kind of popped up towards the end. And what's funny is it was an Animal Crossing Direct, and not a lot of people are talking about Animal Crossing leaving that Direct now. It's all about the Nintendo 64, the expansion pack tier.
I think it depends on what realm you're in, because like I have a whole niche group of people that I know that are into Animal Crossing. They were crying. Like they were so happy about this. Like to them, they don't even care about NSO. Like it's worth it to them. But yeah, I think tacking it on at the end, obviously because they didn't want to spoil Animal Crossing beforehand. Again, like I think a lot of people didn't even watch the Animal Crossing Direct, and they're like, "Wait, there was an announcement for the NSO." Yeah. So
the conversation shifted very quickly at the end of that Direct to Nintendo Switch Online for like you figured there'd been a lot of people talking about the new expansion for Animal Crossing, and then I go on Twitter and it's just like Nintendo Switch Online stuff trending all over the place. And it was revealed that the pricing, none of us were right. We were all off. We all guessed at the price. All of us were wrong. It was I think Nate was the closest.
Wait, what do you mean for the pricing?
Yeah, I was the closest without going over.
Nate was the closest.
I flat out said $49.99.
Did you?
Yes, I did. I literally it's literally, you can go on Twitter right now too. I literally called it as soon as they announced it, $49.99.
Because like I know 2 weeks ago, I think we guessed at the pricing, or when it was first talked about. I think I said like 30 or 35. Nate said 40. I'll give him that.
I didn't talk during that conversation because I didn't want people to be like, "Shut up, Click, you're a shill."
I guessed 25. I 100% thought it was going to be a $5 a year.
That's what I thought too. I thought it was going to
really?
be.
I thought it was going to be 30 or 35 because I saw the Genesis stuff. I was like, they're probably going to. Like when I saw the price of that Genesis controller, I was like, yeah, that something's off here when it comes to that. So obviously, Sega being involved, the money was going to be more in terms of cost. So it's $50. It's $30 more for this tier. It's an optional tier. People seem confused about this. Some people seem to think you need to pay $50 to play online. You can stick with the $20 tier. 9 N64 games that you get are right off the bat, and then there are more coming. I think they have 5 or 6 more announced later on. No word on when those will be added, but I'd like to assume they'd be added before the end of the year.
Hopefully.
And Animal Crossing, the DLC will also be part of it. That's a $25 value. That's just gonna be dropped in. Mm-hmm. So, which is good for people who are playing Animal Crossing. It sounds like you have access to it as you have the online service. So I guess if that expires or lapses on you, you lose parts of that DLC. Apparently not all of it. So it's not as cut and dry there. But the reaction online was pretty big from what I could see. Everyone had a reaction to this. But what do we think about a $50 Nintendo Switch online now with N64 and Genesis games?
The added features are nice. I made a video about it and it blew up a little bit. I think the idea of playing these games online is cool, but man, something about $50 feels like a huge leap. It's a 250% price markup. Maybe I'll be more on board when we get more games, but like right on the onset, like I don't know, I'm not paying for it. I may do 1 month to try the games out and then unsub.
This is fun. Hold on, because
I found out this too.
I put my video up, right? It was last night. I scheduled it for this morning, and MVG said he's gonna put a video up too. I was like, oh, okay, that'd be cool. We can all look at the videos and see what everyone thought. I mean, I had an idea where MVG was gonna land on it with what he was saying on Twitter, but I watched his video back, and MVG was like, I'll do a month of this, and immediately I was like, oh, he's gonna be mad about that. There's no month that you just have to sign up for the full amount.
What?
That was my response as well when I found that out. You got to pay for the entire year's worth.
So you just got to pay for the whole amount, yeah. The 50. Well, it's prorated. So 30, I guess. If you've re-upped recently, it'll be $30 more just to get the 64 stuff and all that.
A scam! What a scam!
I mean, find the lie. I agree. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how they can charge an extra 30 for 9 N64 games and a bunch of Genesis games that no one is going to play in their right mind. They don't care. And
I own them already too. I already own like every Genesis game. Right. I'm literally getting nothing out of this. Okay. I own these N64 games.
I love Musha. I'm not going to play it on the Switch on their online service. I mean, I think for me, it's just not enough. You know, they have to. Look, dude. If they had Dreamcast in there, take my money. Take my money. Right.
I was going to bring that up because Nate, you mentioned the licensing. Emily Rogers mentioned it as well, and it does make sense why they would have to inflate the price if Sega was involved, because I mean Sega's getting money for it. It's not like they're just like, hey, you can have these 20 games for free.
Sega got a substantial amount of money to approve Genesis use for this.
Great.
So that might be one of the worst decisions I've ever heard.
Why are we paying for that then?
My thing is, if you're gonna do it, why not like why Genesis? Why not be like, you haven't really done anything with those Dreamcast games. Let's do that.
They could have priced themselves out of it.
There's a Genesis collection, and it's like, I mean, most of those games already exist.
The simplest explanation would be they have a foundation of Genesis from the Wii Virtual Console and even the Genesis collection. The Dreamcast games, they really do not have that foundation set for the majority of that library. So if Nintendo came to them just as a number, let's say, here's $10 million to put Genesis on Nintendo Switch Online, that number for Dreamcast games could have, let's say, double. And Nintendo wasn't going to come with that price. And the amount of work to get the Dreamcast games to run or to emulate properly on the Switch could have required, let's just say a year for a time frame.
Yeah.
That may not have been something that was favorable in Nintendo's view. So they looked at something that was already established. It was, we'll say, cheap, but affordable for them to acquire. And that's why that decision's made.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, the way I look at it for me, and I was talking with people in my chat yesterday, because I didn't get to watch the Direct until I got home. It was like in the evening. And I didn't know that people were upset about it. So when I was going in the Direct, like people were already kind of off. And I was like, what the heck? And then I found out the pricing. And in my opinion, I think if you don't care about the 64 games, and the Genesis, in my opinion, is negligible. I'm sorry. And and you really don't care about Animal Crossing, just it's not worth it right now. And I know for a fact that the reason why I even predicted $49.99 is because I know Nintendo, their games that are the 64, like their prices are still up there. That their reasoning, in my opinion, when I look at this is that our games, we don't want to depreciate our games, yes, but you're getting 10 of them or 9 of them, however many, plus more, right? For me, the only time it's really going to start becoming worth it is when there's other games that are getting added on, plus other systems. And I think that's when, instead of them making another tier or raising it again, I'm thinking in my opinion, it's too bare bones for the price tag. Like, I think they should have added on more to really make people feel like they're getting their bang for their buck. And again, Nintendo's probably gonna like reach out and be like, "Hey, do you want to try it?" And of course, if I get a complimentary one, yeah, I'll admit, like, I'll try it and I'll show it to you. But I don't really have any inclination to play Ocarina of Time again. I've played Ocarina of Time.
I was gonna say, how many times have you played?
However, the amount of people that I have met specifically, and my channel is a lot of, Zelda stuff. The amount of people who have never played Ocarina of Time who are so excited about this, or Banjo-Kazooie. I haven't got to play Banjo. So for me, when it's time for me to go play Banjo, I'll sign up for it because to me, that's worth it. And then obviously Star Fox Online, whenever F-Zero comes online, like those. But right now, it's not worth it, in my opinion. And again, like, I wasn't surprised at the $49.99 price tag. I kind of, I'm not gonna flex or anything, but yeah. Anyways, if people are upset about it, I understand.
Take that victory lap. Take that victory lap.
No, I mean, like, it's flat out like when I just did marketing for forever. But like, if it's not worth it to you, just don't get it right now. I hope that they do make it worth it in the long run by adding many, many more things. Like if they had GameCube and stuff like this, or Game Boy Advance stuff later on, that's worth it to me. But right now, you have a right to be like, it's not worth it, and don't buy it. You can still stay on the $20 plan. It's totally fine. Like no one's bashing you for it.
Here's the interesting thing about this whole situation. After all this got announced, I saw the reaction online. I decided to go back in time and watch a bunch of reaction videos to when they first announced how much this was going to cost, being $20, and what they were offering. And you know what?
People blew up over $20.
No, do you know what 9 out of 10 people said after they came to acceptance of that price? Well, we're paying Nintendo now, so the service will get better.
I mean,
that is what like 9 out of 10 people said. And I thought about it now. I'm like,
I never really bought into that. The first time NSO was announced and there was this like outrage, right? I never really bought into it because it's $20. Okay. I mean, it's you're not paying like that much money for a service, right? You're not going to get some of the premium features that you would get on Xbox and PSN Plus, right? And I think a lot of people, I don't know, I think there was just a lot of just fake outrage over that.
No.
But this is different. Well, hold on, let me finish. then you can talk, Nathaniel. So I think that the extra $30 in this instance is a 150% markup, right? So this is completely different. This is a lot more than I think a lot of people were expecting. Now, you called it, and what you said about N64 is true. You're right. It's still very important to Nintendo, and that's obviously very apparent with what what they're pricing it as. But at the end of the day, it's just something for me that went from this is going to be a really cool thing that I personally would love, because I'm a big N64 fan, to I don't really need this. This is not worth my time and money. They need to give us something more for this to be a compelling service, whether that is another system, or if they add premium features that kind of coincide with what's happening with PSN Plus or with Xbox Live, right?
Sure.
So,
yeah.
All right, Nate, let's hear it.
You see, Modernicus.
Oh gosh.
The problem with NSO back in its inception in September of 2018 with the $20 price tag was that all those prior features with the online were free. They charged us $20 for cloud saves.
Yeah, they still didn't give us any local way to back up either.
They didn't evolve the service any, and that's why we're giving you $20 for what you have been giving us for the last year for nothing. So what are we paying $20 for? And the flaws with NSO remain.
What
They have
about
not
upkeep
evolved
and
the
things like
service with
that?
features.
What about like upkeep and maintenance and stuff like that? Like, isn't that like technically a
They're-
thing? Like,
Aren't they one of the biggest companies in the entire history of Japan? Like, don't they have enough hundreds of billions of dollars that they can remember my 8 GB Splatoon save file without
Well,
melting?
You see, that's
not
the
even just
thing with
cloud
the
saves, though.
online is that when we pay Sony and Microsoft, some of their big games that are multiplayer focused, let's use like Gears of War, even Halo, they can have dedicated servers. Nintendo is peer to peer. So what are we actually paying for? And that was the thing 3 years ago when the discussion came up about Nintendo Switch Online is what are we actually paying for? We're paying for NES, Super NES, and cloud saves. And that is all we've been paying for up to this point. If Nintendo wants to charge for online, then they have to give us online functionality. As it stands now, we are paying to access legacy games that happen to be attached.
You
to
saw
cloud
my tweet.
saves
No,
and online
no.
functionality.
You saw my tweet. You took that from me. That was the point that was coming. Ugh.
I got
Fine.
to it first.
My thing was we started out paying for what we thought was going to be an evolving online service with games tacked on, and now we're paying for games that have online service tacked on.
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Nate,
And in some
steal my
ways,
tweet.
I wonder what other DLC they're going to add to this service, right? Are they going to add like Breath of the Wild DLC and the Smash Brothers
That's
stuff?
interesting. So here's something else I thought about. After we put our videos up, I started looking around. I was like, oh, what's everyone think about this? You get through the people yelling about it and all of this, and there's an expectation now that DLC will just be added to this going forward. And I'm like,
Ooh.
there's a good chance that's not going to happen.
I said I hope. Like my thought, because Game Pass is so successful, but even like DLC, like if you play Outer Wilds, all the Outer Worlds, all the Outer Worlds DLC is on there. I think it'd be cool if they end up doing something eventually where it's like, $50, $60 a year, and you do get the DLC. But at this point, I'm expecting them to absolutely rail me in the ass.
They have set a precedent by having this DLC part of the expansion pass, because the smart thing with this is that you lose access. Well, smart as far as business is concerned, is that you lose access to that Animal Crossing DLC if you let your subscription lapse. So if they want to keep you engaged and subscribed for the long term, they have to include DLC for other product, because otherwise you're going to lose interest and you might say, well, I've had my fun with the Animal Crossing stuff. I don't need the $50 subscription. I don't want Genesis and N64. I'm going back down to the $20 tier. They have to give you incentive continually to keep you locked in at that rate.
I mean, they could go back and let's say we're coming up on Breath of the Wild 2 releasing. They could go get the DLC for the first Breath of the Wild, drop it in there and be like, hey, if you missed out on Breath of the Wild and the DLC, check out the DLC. It's right here for you.
Even Splatoon 3, if they lock something behind that, be it
like a battle pass.
Yeah, a battle pass. If they have that included with the expansion pass, then it would work well for them.
That'd be fun.
I mean, that's something they could do. Had they actually detailed that intent in the moment, I think the pricing would have been stomached a little better by the community. It's just that we're left, and very often with Nintendo, we're left wondering, is more going to come? What are they actually going to do with the service? And we don't have answers to that, and we have to wait for them to maybe provide some information.
It would be I think we need a schedule for when these games are coming, like the 64 games that they've shown us. Because remember when we did the Nintendo Super Nintendo, they're like every month we're going to add like 2 games or something. Just some kind of like roadmap almost for. I know they're 64 games, they're old games and potentially Genesis games, but like some kind of roadmap that's like, hey, next month we're going to look to 2 64 games and another two, and just something like that. I don't know, because you're right, and it is kind of like they'll show up at some point. You can trust us. We added messaging to the Switch Online. We got it.
Yeah.
What would be really cool is why stop at DLC? Why not just add 3 games in there?
That's not a bad idea. Like if they said, hey, you know what? No one plays ARMS. Let's go ahead and just put that in the online service. You can just download it.
Whoa. Well, I mean, if we look to the past, they did add titles like Tetris 99, Pac-Man 99, Mario 35.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them really going for bigger titles. We get the Trials, where we had ARMS and Overwatch and those type of titles added to it, where you get, the week to test it.
Mm-hmm.
They'll probably continue that type of practice, but as far as like actual full games,
Right.
This is Nintendo. ARMS is still $60 retail. We're not going to get that free anytime soon.
Yeah, I just basically everyone what they're doing right now is trying to come up with ways for Nintendo to make this feel valuable or more valuable. And to me, it's pretty clear that even Nintendo looked at those 64 games and they were like, I don't know if this is $50, but let's throw that Animal Crossing DLC in there. That's basically where we are now. So that's actually my question: is what does Nintendo have to do right now to make it feel like $50 is solid? Like you're like, you know what? I will buy into this.
There's two ways. Add something more.
Yeah.
Or fix their network infrastructure and add more social features.
We would do that for the $20 tier, right? Like let's just say the $20 tier, Nintendo comes out and they're like, you know what? You can message your friends. And it just immediately, just confetti flies on Twitter and stuff.
What if on the $49.99 tier they gave you themes?
Themes?
God.
I'm in.
That was the other part of the video I watched. So I remember I went through and I said, you know what? It's just light and dark mode now. We'll have more themes soon. Anyway,
I seriously think for me, I think a roadmap would do a lot of good for me because I'm somebody that plays a lot of MMOs and I play a lot of MMOs at launch. And a lot of times they're pretty bare bones, but I'm paying a monthly fee. I pay for the game up front with the promise that I'm going to get more content down the road. I think if they said within the first year, we're going to have, 35 N64 games or something like even just a rough number, that would do a lot to assuage my fears. It'd be cool if they even hinted like a silhouette of a fucking Game Boy would make me so happy right now.
Okay. Okay, so like Game Boy Advance, for example, getting added in with 10 games, you'd be on board all of a sudden. Like, okay, this makes sense.
Something more would be fine. Something more.
I think, and again, like Nintendo, I think they kind of handle things very cryptically. Like they don't announce things until like it's right around the corner. And I can understand that to some degree, but I think when it comes to charging people such a high percentage more than what you were paying before, like you kind of do need a roadmap. So I think if they were to explain like this is possibly going to become the virtual console answer that you guys have all been hoping for, much like the Wii U was, like the Wii U is a virtual console machine still to this day. Like any game I want to play, like Metroid Prime Trilogy is still on there, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's kind of like I think if they were a little bit more clear about it and the intention to expand upon the virtual console library, I think a lot of people would do it in advance, or a lot of people would be less harsh on it and wait until the roadmap comes to fruition, kind of thing. So again, maybe it just takes time, but again, like if the worst is you don't pay for it and you wait, like nothing's changed for you, it's just a waiting game. So I think it just depends on how patient you're willing to be. So
I think
you enjoy Animal Crossing and it's worth it to you, like that's great.
I think these numbers are gonna be very interesting. Nintendo's not gonna tell us about them, I don't think at all.
Probably
but
not.
Like they're gonna see it on their side. They're gonna be like, all right, this was optional. We did jump the price pretty far. How many people are buying into the 64 stuff? And I mean, they'll find out pretty quickly, I would say, that week after they launch it. And I mean, maybe they'll start adding more stuff in to try to get more signups for it, because I mean, they're getting close to that. I mean, now we're getting comparisons to Xbox Live and PlayStation Plus. Before it was like, it's 20, whatever. Now it's like they actually have tiers even above that with the family plan at $80.
They're going to tweet out, like, after the release of this, they're going to just tweet out a picture of, like, Wario on his pile of gold or something. Like, we want you to know this was profitable.
I mean, people are going to find value in it because there are 64 games there that are legitimately good. And if you haven't played them, it's like, that's maybe.
The big thing. If you haven't, so many people were coming to me like, yo, I can play Ocarina of Time now. I can play Ocarina of Time. Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask was the other big one, too. But also Banjo. A lot of people fell in love with Banjo after seeing how many people were passionate about it because of Smash. Like, I hate to tell you, like, we're on the upper end of the gaming age range now. Like, there are a lot of people who have no idea what these games are about. So, like, to some people, it is worth it. Or to some parents being like, yo, my kid can play this game now because I didn't have the access beforehand. Like, people come in and tell me that story. It's like, that's awesome. I'm glad it's worth it to you. Just realize it's not going to be worth it to a lot of people. And if they insult you, they're immature. But it's just insulting people about it. Like, don't be insulting. I don't get that.
So
yeah, people will be excited about it.
Back in January, when Xbox Live tried to double their price, and Twitter had a meltdown, and then Microsoft reversed their decision about 2 hours later. Do you think Nintendo is listening to customer feedback?
No.
I was about to start laughing, but Nate beat me to it.
No, this is something Nintendo's market research. This is something that they they knew the price of this for months, and they're sticking to this. They're not coming out anytime soon saying, well, based on reception of fans, we're listening and we're going to drop it. Because let's say they did listen and they drop it to $40. You're still going to have the vocal critics saying it should be $30 total. So no matter what, Nintendo would lose that battle. They're going to stick to their guns because, as Click is saying, there's still going to be millions upon millions of people who are going to subscribe and go for the expansion pass. And Nintendo knows that. And they're going to take those profits. And the people who are going to be vocal and complain about it, Nintendo's fine with that. Because a lot of the time, those who are complaining will also end up renewing and subscribing to the service over a period of time. And if in 6 months Nintendo does add, theoretically, let's say in March, they added GoldenEye.
Yeah, that's going to get a lot of
people are subbing. And that's not going to happen. We could hope, but even a game like Perfect Dark, if something of that caliber is added to the service, people are going to say, you know what, I wasn't a big fan of the price point before, but for this game, I'm now a fan of it. Like, I talked to one of my friends about it. He's not like, he doesn't watch podcasts or anything like that. And I asked, I was like, what do you think of the price? He's like, I'm fine with that. He's like, Ocarina of Time is my favorite game of all time. He's like, Mario 64, I love. He's like, I can't wait to play some of these games. And to him, the price is negligible. As he put to me, he's like, I spend more than that at the bar on the weekends. So to him, it's no big deal. And probably for the majority of the base who is actually looking to this price, they're going to do it. Yes, you're going to have a fairly large percentage who won't, but ultimately Nintendo's going to see enough new subscriptions driven to the expansion pass that there's no reason for them to come in and say, we listen to fans and let's lower the price. Microsoft was hit by a friggin' 18-wheeler of criticism when they tried to double the price of Xbox Live.
That was also required. They were going for $120 a year. Like if Nintendo came out and was like, "Yo, this $20," they were trying to double the 60 to 120, like required to play online for Xbox.
Yeah, had Nintendo come in and said we're raising the price of the $20 tier
to $60 or something,
then it'd be like, wait, what? And they just said, and you only get NES and Super NES. Then that'd be a situation where they might sit there and say, everyone hates us. Let's make it 25 instead.
Yeah, that's a good strategy, actually. No, you just gave him the blueprint.
Yeah, now they're gonna raise that to 30.
Oh no!
Like, what can we get away with? Can't do 60, so let's bargain with them, and we're gonna go high, they're gonna come low, and we're gonna meet somewhere in the middle to make them think they won.
Is that like I guess what's the word? Disheartening for consumers if like Nintendo knows that it's gonna work anyway.
I mean,
I think it's eye-opening. I think for a lot of people, they're realizing that, like, I think more and more, I feel like I'm seeing the conversation of that these companies aren't your friend. Mario would absolutely,
we've known that for a while.
Like, Mario, if he could beat your ass for $10, he'd beat your ass for $10, you know?
I don't know about that.
He would. He'd be like, oh, don't you look me in the eye?
I think genuinely people are realizing that it is a luxury, yes, but also like kind of what is your money worth to you? Because money's not just money, it's also hours worked. Like, it's not just $50. That's like a couple hours worth of your time, you know, depending on what your wage is. So I think, yeah, it is teaching people to be smarter about it, but also I think it is, in a way, we're going to kind of see, hopefully it's like a renaissance of sorts of people and the social media aspect in combination with these companies and how they are handled. I don't know with Nintendo, like how easily swayed they will be in the coming years when it comes to social media. As we've seen changes with other companies, I would like to think that they do adopt things, and obviously they have. I mean, I kind of feel bad. Like, we didn't really talk necessarily about the Sora. I know you guys did the other podcast, but like Sakurai talking about when Sora got top spot in the election for the like, they didn't reveal the top people who got chosen for the roster in Smash, and he was saying because we knew that people were going to go to those companies and harass them. Like, obviously, like, in some degree that is a positive thing, but I think also the negativity kind of weighs both on and on. So I don't know at what point Nintendo is gonna kind of budge and move things or edit things, and at what point they're like, we're gonna stick to our guns and not make a change whatsoever. I think honestly at this point, if they're not going to change the infrastructure, probably until like the next lifespan of
Next
the Switch or
Switch,
something like
yeah,
that,
next
I would
generation.
say like adding games or adding features, or even if it was DLC. I personally prefer to have my DLC not linked to an online service per se. Like I want that cement, like buy it and it's mine forever.
Sure.
So I think it varies, but it is an interesting time that we'll see.
Is that kind of where we are now with this? People are talking about adding features like voice chat or message. Are we just like Nintendo's probably just going to restart next gen with that kind of stuff? Like it's kind of late, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't see it happening this gen.
Yeah.
But okay, that's what I was thinking. It's we're about to be 5 years in March, and by year 6, we assume we'll be talking about some sort of new piece of hardware that'll probably jump forward a generation. So I feel like Nintendo will be pretty stubborn about it. I watched them stumble through the Wii U generation for 4 years. So I don't expect them to be like, oh, N64 games aren't working. Let's make it $30 now. So but that was an interesting Friday, is what I'll say. I went in expecting just Animal Crossing stuff, came out the other end with a firestorm on Twitter.
I wasn't even paying attention. Someone just DM'd me LOL $50, and I was like, what happened?
Evan, we have a Discord question over there.
What is a really good deal you've gotten on either video game or console or accessory before? I guess just found something really cheap that shouldn't have been cheap.
I got the Game Boy Player for GameCube for $13. I found the bottom of it for $10. And then when I was at work, the disc came in and there was no barcode on it. So the minimum price in our system was $3. So my boss marked it $3.
Any of those
so much.
Any of those
I still need that disc.
Any of those Goodwill finds are awesome. Like if you can find something there for like $3 and you know it's some like legit game or system or something, that's like the best find.
Yeah, or something that's like something was busted that just needed a small repair and it's fully working. Like a console or a game like a game cartridge or something like that. I've had a couple of those before that happened, but I can't really think of one that really stands out as like the best find I've ever had.
Dude, back in the day, we used to get PS4s constantly, like when they were like 2 or 3 years old, and the HDMI port was messed up, and that thing cost like $5 to fix. We'd get those all day long for like $40 because people were just going to throw them out. And we'd buy them for that.
Nice.
It's constant. What about Jordan? Do you find any Pokemon cards that are cheaper out in the wild, or no? People are just eBaying that constantly.
I mean, it depends on like if you go to shops and how ethical the shops are and fair with their prices. I mean, I've found a few good deals that way plenty of times, but last 2 years it's been hit or miss. But it really depends. I wouldn't say right now is the best buying market for cards because all the prices are high.
Yeah, it's just a thrill to save money. And in order to do that this holiday, you're going to want to use today's sponsor. That's Honey. Today's episode is sponsored by Honey. We all shop online, and we've all seen that promo code field taunt us at checkout. But thanks to Honey, manually searching for coupon codes is a thing of the past. Honey is the free browser extension that scours the internet for promo codes and applies the best one it finds to your cart. Honey supports over 30,000 stores online. So imagine you're shopping on one of your favorite sites. When you check out, the Honey button drops down, and all you have to do is click Apply Coupons. Wait a few seconds as Honey searches for coupons it can find for that site. If Honey finds a working coupon, you'll watch the prices drop. We're coming up in the holidays now. Good time to start that holiday shopping. I have been doing that and using Honey to save quite a bit of money actually doing that. Now, Honey has found its over 17 million members, over $2 billion in savings. If you don't already have Honey, you could be straight up missing out on free savings. It's literally free and installs in a few seconds. And by getting it, you'll be doing yourself a solid and supporting this podcast. Get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/spawncast. That's joinhoney.com/spawncast. Evan, you want to go to a Discord question there while I check out the super chats? And then we'll talk about Metroid Dread.
Which one is the scarier future? All digital or all cloud gaming?
Oh,
all cloud gaming.
All cloud.
Yeah, definitely all cloud gaming.
There's no argument here. There's no contest here.
Yeah, I would say all cloud gaming. Yeah, because will we ever get to a point where there's no latency? or it's lower than what we have on our
I
TVs.
thought didn't Google claim they had zero latency, negative latency?
Well, they claimed
I
it
don't
because
know.
it was an AI like doing things for you in the game that it assumed you were going to do anyway.
That's right. It tries to like predict. It's like predictive button press, I think is what they're something like that. And it would basically try to figure out your tendencies. Like you reload after 4 or 5 shots, and it would do that for you before you go to press reload. And it was trying to do that to simulate it.
That would trip me out.
Yeah, I know, right? So that's whew. I don't know about that one. That is not a future I would look forward to as the all cloud gaming future. Let me see the super chats here. We have Truly Epic. Everyone's thoughts on Far Cry 6.
Haven't played it yet.
Skipping it for now.
I'm the only one who's played Far Cry 6. I'm playing it right now. Well, not right now, but I was playing it earlier.
I'll play it because Far Cry is one of those dumb guilty pleasure games that I kind of get into, like Assassin's Creed.
So,
but I'm waiting for a sale.
I'm
waiting for Black Friday.
This game is very
$30
much
solid.
This is very much a Ubisoft game, is what I'll say. Like if you like the Assassin's Creed, it's going to be a 50, 60 hour game where you're filling out parts of an open world map. Go get it. That is what it is. But it is a game that I've been able to put on a podcast or something else in the background while I'm playing it. And it actually has a lot of progression and satisfaction going through it. The visuals are weird. You know how we mentioned before during the trailers that sometimes looked good, then sometimes looked bad? Mm-hmm. It's still like that. Like sometimes you get really close up to an enemy and you're like, what is this? And then you'll look out into the environment and it looks incredible. I was actually taking screenshots and I almost never do that with the Xbox because of how like the God rays would come through like a palm tree or something way off. It was incredible looking stuff. But then it's like, it's almost like the players or the whoever is like floating on it almost because they look so bad compared to it. It's very weird, but the game is very fun. It's all first person for the most part, so they do a lot of like when you're driving around, it's all first person, and it has those kind of elements to it. But it's been all right. Gunplay's good, so it's gonna. I'm like, I mean, it's the idea of you're part of a revolution, starting from the bottom and working your way up, and they fill out your map with like sub bosses or people you're trying to recruit. And then you're going to go after the big guy. But in the beginning, you start
just like the other one and the one before that, and the one before that.
It's just a Far Cry game. That's it. Like that's the one thing. It is one of the safest. I think it's safer than Assassin's Creed for Ubisoft. Like it really is. But it's dumb fun. And the one thing is, I do still think Far Cry needs a reboot. I think they need to figure something else out for it because it is feeling very samey.
We say that about Assassin's Creed, Far Cry.
We say that about Ubisoft
and Watch Dogs. So I mean, what could they possibly reboot? I mean, every genre needs a reboot.
Far Cry, when it first came out on the PC, was something you would use to stress your video card, and it's not really that anymore. I don't know. It's I don't know what they're gonna do with it. I guess they'll just keep doing this. I'm sure it sells well enough for them.
Maybe they should just do Splinter Cell.
But dude, I zoomed out on that map. Like I zoomed out and I was like, wow, okay, this is it is a massive map when you start zooming out. And there's quite a bit of empty stuff going on. And otherwise it's bases you take over by just killing everyone in the base. So there you go. Tijo says, will either play Fusion, Zero Mission, Sonic Advance, etc. instead of Genesis games already released on various Switch compilations? Why Nintendo? Nate, that is a good question. Why did they opt to inflate the value of it through partnerships with Sega rather than just put Game Boy Advance next to N64?
Like I said earlier, I think it's just the fact that the emulation for Genesis was essentially finished. So the amount of effort and work that had to be put, and I understand that the GBA was emulated for the Virtual Console on the Wii U. But I mean, that could be something that Nintendo was looking at for a future. But right now, as far as internally, what Nintendo was working on was N64, which only finished a couple of months ago through their QA process. They are sitting on Game Boy and Game Boy Color. That is complete.
Look, just drop a Pokemon game on there. That'll actually be a win for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, that could be something that they're waiting for. Maybe something with Pokemon is why they haven't brought Game Boy. Who knows? I mean, Game Boy Advance was just nothing that was in the pipeline at the current time. Like, as of now, Game Boy Advance isn't in the pipeline of platforms that they are testing for Nintendo Switch Online. It could easily be an addition in 2022, but right now, it's just something they weren't planning on.
They dropped Musha in there, and they had to have looked at them and been like, well, this game's worth a lot. If we put that in there, it'll make some waves. And no one talks about the Genesis stuff. Everyone just immediately goes to 64.
You can already get that collection.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, 64 because they were like, look, you can play Mario Kart online. I mean, that was a big deal, obviously. So
yeah, I mean, ideally, the Genesis collection on Nintendo Switch Online fleshes out with some of those rarer, more hard to find games that were on the Genesis, and we just haven't seen them yet. Hey, maybe. Let's hope.
Foxden. I want to recognize Foxden here with the big donation. And they say a big hello. Hoping all of you guys are having a great night. You guys rock. I watch a lot of the group's channels and wanted to say, keep up the amazing content. And no matter what hate you guys might get, keep doing what you love. Keep being amazing. You know what? Too many games, Foxden. I will say, everyone was really cool there. So I don't know. You see like Twitter and all this stuff, but then you meet everyone in person, and it's a blast. So I don't know. It's one of those things where you get to actually like meet up with the people who are watching the videos, interact with them, and it's always a good time. So then I had Scott says, happy Saturday to every one of you. Moto says, what's good, Spawncast? Thanks for all the content. Steven says, Spawnwave is my hero. Mike says, it was really great to meet you guys at Too Many Games this year. I hope the rest of you will be there next year. John, you were right about Blood Rain. And Nate, how's the beard coming along? See, Nate, people were asking for you.
How's the beard coming along?
People were asking for you, Nate, okay? I told you I was on the floor. We'd walk around and say hi to people, and they say, where's Nate? And I'd say he might be right behind you.
Or in the Q&A, like when we did our panel, we did a Q&A panel. People kept asking where Nate was specifically, and Fringe was like, he could be in the crowd.
I did like a fake panel, like, oh, there he is right there, and had some people like start turning their heads.
You don't know. We should have. That's what we should do. We should put you in the crowd. We should put you in the crowd. Have you come out of like the crowd with like Stone Cold music playing?
Have a glass break. See, I could have been there. I could have been sitting in the crowd watching this whole panel, be like, haha. But I wasn't. I was not.
Mid says, what GTA game of the trilogy will each of the Spawncast be playing first? And is there any you haven't played before? I will start in release order. I might go to Vice City right away. It's been a while since I played Vice City, and I played San Andreas most recently out of the three.
Yeah,
so,
Vice City.
I might go to Vice City. Yeah. Okay.
I've beaten them all before. I beat them all recently again, actually, on PlayStation 4. I think Vice City aged the best by far.
Oh, good. Okay, cool. It's been a while since I'd say once I haven't played before, maybe when they did the PS2 stuff where they brought Liberty City stories and stuff, maybe one of those. I'm trying to think. Those came later.
Great.
Yeah,
Liberty City stores and Vice City stores. Vice City stores had a city builder mini game where you could actually buy property and actually level it up. It was cool.
The next time I spend money on Grand Theft Auto, it's going to be for Grand Theft Auto 6.
You say that, and then that GTA trilogy shows up, and then the next day you're gonna be like, "Well, I bought it."
I own those games. I own those games multiple times. I don't need to rebuy it again. All right.
Nate's trying to get us DMCA'd.
Jeffrey says, "Best podcast out there. Thanks for the entertainment." This is Hyatt says Japan is only charging 4,900 yen or approximately $40 for their service, and they're getting more games. Which games they're getting?
Actually, the price in the UK is incredibly fair too.
Oh,
and Australia, believe it or not.
Hold on, what's going on here?
Countries who usually get like ripped off are benefiting substantially from it. I guess they felt they were screwing over the rest of the world, and America can finally get screwed.
Sarah says, I wonder if they fixed the analog stick on the Nintendo Switch Online N64 controller. We'll find out. I'm going to try to get one of those. They sold out. They popped up on eBay for $150 now each. So I'll work on getting one.
Rip.
Yeah. Thomas says, do you guys think Nintendo would ever give us the games from the NES, SNES classic systems and collections on the Switch, a $6 and $8 cart?
No.
Probably not. That'd be cool, though. I would buy it, but probably not. Skylar says, who's getting an Xbox mini fridge? I'm not, but
thought about it.
It's
I'm considering it.
$99. Come on.
Yeah, that's not a bad price at all.
Yeah, it's not bad at all.
That's okay for a mini fridge. That is a good price.
How many cans can it hold?
How many cans of
3
Foster's
soda? Yeah, how many cans can it hold? I've seen mixed things. The Xbox blog originally said 12, but then Aaron Greenberg said 10.
You can put an Xbox Series S in there. It fits snug in there. So whatever
that doesn't do me any good.
Capacity of beer cans that will be an equivalent of an Xbox Series X is the amount of cans you can put in there.
Well, I need to know how many Narragansett beers can fit.
Microsoft's probably going to send out a
What?
ton of those fridges to random like people
What?
online, so you'll get all kinds of, I'm sure, comparisons and stuff. So
If one of y'all gets an influencer one, mail it to me. Even though I live in a tiny little house, I'll put it next to me. It'll be great.
I
John,
opened up the Xbox Series X. I don't
if
think
you
I'm ever
get-
getting anything ever again.
Yeah, same. If you
Dismantle the fridge.
John, if you get
Dismantle
one,
the
you
fridge.
need to do a tear down.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Here's the
You know-
cooling module.
You know what would be really cool is if you replace the guts of
fridge.
an Xbox Series X inside the fridge,
Ah, all right.
and then you open it up.
And it's an Xbox inside an Xbox. And then what if we got the really big fridge? It's
Man,
Xbox inside an Xbox inside an
there's,
Xbox.
there's at least 4 video ideas I've got right for this right now.
World's largest Xbox Series X.
Yep.
Mhm.
Andrew says, "Will TMG be watchable anywhere?" Unfortunately, no. We didn't film it. Next year we'll film it. Maybe we'll plan out next year way better. We'll have Nate come in through the crowd,
What?
do all kinds of stuff.
Only
yeah.
if Sean says, "By God."
Yeah, well,
Nate's
that's what I mean.
cashing
We'll
in
do all
his
kinds of
money in the
stuff.
bank.
I want to do stuff where we're like we pit teams against each other.
Yeah, we can do all kinds of really cool stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Games. We could do a
Avengers
Smash.
Civil War?
We could do like a Smash tournament up on stage, or do some
Oh,
sort of
God,
We could do 8-player Super Mario Kart or something.
Jungle Zone says, "What were the retro game prices like at TMG? I heard they were ridiculously expensive. They were very expensive. Like that's the most expensive I've seen retro games there in a long time. I don't know if it's because they missed a year or what, but oof, those prices.
We were
high.
talking about it. Almost everything was 2 or 3 times the cost. We were actually
Yeah.
doing the math. It was nuts.
Cristobal says, even though MIA, congrats to OJ on 80,000 subs. Nice Dreadgasm misclick. Do you guys plan on any con visits near LA area or most likely E3 2022? MBG was talking E3.
I'll be at E3 next year. If it's on, I'll definitely be there.
I think a couple people were talking about SoCal
Hmm.
at the beginning of the year.
I'm thinking about doing SoCal. I'm going to talk to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
I got an invite. Debating
Yeah.
it.
Beginning of the year, like January or February or something.
It's like February, yeah.
Veluxian says, anyone 100% their Metroid Dread save file? I hated some of the puzzles, but I felt unstoppable after finally pulling them off. Let's just go into Metroid Dread
Can we talk
actually
about
here.
this?
Do we want to talk about the good stuff or the bad stuff so far? Because there's things
What's the
outside
bad
of the game
stuff?
itself.
Well,
There's some stuff that.
Oh, you
bad
mean all the?
stuff.
Yeah, no, we can.
Because I mean,
let's talk
Metroid
about
Dread
that.
is a legit Game of the Year contender now. And do we want to end with the good stuff and just start off? Because the bad stuff concerns Mercury Steam,
Yeah,
not
let's
even the
talk about-
game.
Let's talk
Really.
about Mercury first.
Nintendo's $60.
Well, I actually
gosh.
got to run. I got to
Okay,
run.
Max.
I'm actually at a friend's house, but I do want to say I've beat Metroid Dread twice now. I give it a 9 out of 10. I'm not
There you
quite
go.
sure I wouldn't give it a Game of the Year award, but I do think it's good.
Okay.
Bye, Meg.
Later.
All right. See you, Max.
Use
Mac.
code honey.
He's good, honey. So we had Mercury Steam. A lot of info came out about them all of a sudden, like very quickly. The working conditions are in question now, as well as MVG. I wasn't sure about this. I had to double check, right? Is there a limit on the number of characters you can have in the credits at the end of the game?
Absolutely not. Absolutely
Okay.
not. There is no limit.
I wasn't
on
sure if it was like
the
Twitter or
the
something.
number of characters. No, I think.
I mean,
from,
those Switch space, the cartridges they get expensive with the
from
stuff
I
out in
mean,
space. Okay.
look at the credits on Quake, right? That thing goes on for like 7 minutes. And as it should be, right? Like I think anyone that was involved in the making of a video game, it doesn't matter if you were like the janitor cleaning the office, right? Like if you work at that studio, all the way up to the director of the game and the producers, anyone that's ever been involved in the making of a game, contractors, employees, it doesn't matter. They should be credited appropriately.
So I want to point something out for this, because it made me think of this very just out of nowhere when the news was coming out. Basically, the idea is they have a policy at Mercury Steam where if you worked on less than 25% of the total development time, you don't get your names in the credits. So people had worked 8, 9, 10, even 11 months and weren't credited because it was a 4-year development cycle in this game, which is really weird to me because people were noticing that their stuff was in the game and they weren't credited. And it's not even like a money dispute. It's legit just a credit dispute so that they can then take that, like what they did there, and go get another job at a studio somewhere else. Because Metroid Dread's going to be Game of the Year contender. It's going to be up there.
And
so
it's a dangerous policy because if I worked at Mercury Steam and I could have been a contract employee whose contract was for 10 months, you have used my animation, you have used my texture work in your game, and you have not given me proper credit. Well, now I go to an interview of another prestigious developer, let's say in Spain, because that's where Mercury Steam is located. I have no evidence that I worked on this project. And if you go to Moby.com and they list the credits for the game, my name's not going to be listed there. Yes, you can call Mercury Steam and they can vouch for it, but it shouldn't have to come to that. They should be instantly be able to boot up the game, see my name in the credits, and say, okay, we have seen the work that you have done. We recognize the work you've done. We want to hire you for this job. By omitting them in the credits, they are altering the career trajectory of numerous individuals. And that is a shit policy that has to be changed immediately. This isn't the first time we have heard of poor management within Mercury Steam. This is the second time following Lords of Shadow 2. And if the upper management cannot sort this stuff out, then I hope, no matter how good Metroid Dread is, I do not want to see Nintendo work with them again.
That's fair. I talked to someone on LinkedIn. It wasn't the actual guy that kind of blew the whistle on it. I talked to someone else on LinkedIn, and she is a 3D cinematic animator that worked on many of the cutscenes in the game. And she said, I'm very proud of the whole team, but it saddens me to see that I'm not reflected in the credits for this work that I did. It has been hard for me to see that they've considered that it should be like this when I keep seeing a lot of animations that I made in every gameplay. That's I mean that's so sad to read, to hear that from someone that really worked their ass off on that game. And to Nate's point, it's going to be a very difficult time for them to, find more work, because you basically have to prove to someone that, hey, I worked on this game, when it shouldn't have to. That conversation shouldn't even be a conversation in the first place. So I agree. I mean, just whatever stupid 25%. Or less policy that you have, you need to adjust that. And another thing I'll say is people leave companies as well, mid development. Yeah. The people that have left deserve credit as well. I'll tell you, at Night Dive, anyone that's ever worked on a game, whether they are still working for the company today or they left the company, they are credited in the game the games that they'd worked on. And that's the way it should be. You have to let your people get the credit that they deserve. Simple as that.
Yeah, like this arbitrary number of 25%. Why? Why is that the number that they came up with? If I work at your studio for a month, 3 months, and you are using assets I have created, my name should be in the credits. And is that as simple? I have seen people say, well, this is common for the industry. I don't care if it's common. It has to change. The industry has to change this. This is not acceptable.
Yeah, it is weird because I was thinking back, people like who do the big productions on YouTube have like credits at the end, and sometimes they'll go on for a while. There's special thanks and stuff. What Scott did like this whole like big ending to it. What is like first season or second season or something, and the credits are rolling, and it's like special thanks, has all this stuff, and has Spawn Wave, and I'm like, I don't even know what I did. Like, why am I in the credits? And then here we have Mercury Steam, like. Yeah. Well, you worked for 11. You didn't quite make it to that 12-month mark. So we're not going to put your name in it. We're going to use animations, but
it seems petty in a way for the industry.
Oh, you're right. That's a good word for it.
It seems like it's almost like kind of like baiting someone with a carrot, like, oh, you got to be faster than that, but also it's like, well, what if you join towards the end of the project? Like, I can understand if you're trying to keep people on the project and not like just, bail or whatever. But 25% is a substantial amount of time, especially think of a project cycle that's longer than 4 years.
AAA.
That's obviously even more time than that. And a year is a decent amount. Like a lot can change in a year. Someone being brought on, they can add a lot. But it genuinely seems like it sucks because it's like if Metroid needs to if this discussion needs to pop up with Metroid, I hope people associate it with the actual industry itself and with Mercury Steam and not with the actual brand of Metroid, because it's just unfortunate. There's been so much that's blown up around this game, and I feel like obviously we'll go into the positives of how good this game is and how proud the people should feel that worked on this game that probably aren't getting credited. If anybody is listening to, I hope you guys did amazing work, and if you didn't get credit, I'm sorry. That's part of your life. Time is the most precious commodity that we have that we literally can't get back. Money, cool, but time and effort and brain power, that's the essential part of getting deep into it, the human spirit. But to not even be credited for that, that kind of sucks. And also when it does affect your career, so it needs to change flat out. I agree, but it's wild.
That brings up a point, Nate, you mentioned about Nintendo working with Mercury Steam. Do you think this affects their relationship at all for any future games?
Yeah, it's hard to say because it depends on how Nintendo management wants to view it themselves. If they're just going to view as the end project, they looked at the game, said this is a fantastic game, but they should have some sort of control over how a contract studio that they are hiring is treating their employees. And as we saw in the follow-up reports, Mercury Steam treated their employees.
Well, you know what that reminds me of is what happened with Retro. With the first Metroid Prime, do you remember that, where they crunched like crazy and Nintendo came in, bought them and fixed it and changed it? I mean, is Mercury Steam worth that much to Nintendo?
To buy or
to buy it and fix it?
No.
There you go. I feel like to them, it's like it's probably not worth it then to be attached to that, because Click is even saying all of a sudden this might be attached to Nintendo and even Metroid.
Yeah, like, I mean, do you think though that perhaps this was a trial to see if it did do well, that maybe they were considering it, but now that all of this is blown up? Because the fact that this even started from someone posting on LinkedIn, you know, like that's unfortunate for the company. I'm sure they're kind of scrambling, but also for Nintendo to be like, well, if this was a trial error for us to even consider it, maybe this does put it does hinder the process.
I don't know if I would view this game as a potential trial run of Nintendo looking to maybe acquire them in the future, or as more of a, you did Samus Returns, it was a quality product, we're going to let you do Metroid Dread, and if you come out with a second quality game moving forward, we'll continue to contract you with future projects. But with the news of the workplace environment and how the management runs the studio, if I were Nintendo, I would just have great hesitations of, you guys are talented, there's no question about it, but there are a lot of hungry developers out there who send us their resumes, their work that we can probably go to, have some sense of control over the situation where we can help guide them, like they did with Retro, a studio that had no games under their brand until Metroid Prime 1. And we can find someone else to make the next 2D Metroid game if we want. And I would be hesitant if I were Nintendo to go back to Mercury Steam and say, we're willing to give you another project in spite of all of this evidence that came out where you treat your employees terribly. So you either need upper management change, or I wouldn't come back and give you another project. You produced quality, but at some point the human factor comes into it.
It was a 4-year development. That was a long contract. 4-year development. So that's tough for Nintendo to weigh that out and figure out what they want to do now with Mercury Steam, because you're right, the talent's there, but then it's like, at what cost with some of the, obviously the PR that's coming out now around it, and you said the human factor.
I just think it's crazy. Like, credits are like the easiest thing. Really.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's why I was making the joke about the character limit and stuff. It's like, you just put their name in it. It's almost like they wanted people to think that less people worked on it, so that's like, look at what we did with less or something. I don't know. It's weird. It's like, just put it's right there. You just type it out. You copy and paste. You don't have to type the whole thing out.
I don't really. I'm trying to figure out why they would. Do that. And I just can't really come up with any good reason for it.
The only thing I saw online, which is still a shitty reason, is employee retention. Basically, trying to force people to want to stay to be credited, and
in front of them.
It's still a shitty approach. It's a really shitty approach.
That's literally what it said. Like keeping a carrot in front of them.
That's the reverse. That's going to have the reverse effect on what they think is going to happen.
And I mean, let's be clear. Mercury Steam does not have a good reputation in Spain. There are aspiring developers in Spain who will tell you Mercury Steam is a shithole.
Yeah, but if Nintendo did buy him and change the culture, then maybe more people would want to go there.
With a culture change, maybe people would look at it. But as they stand now, people try to avoid going to that studio because of the reputation. And even the LinkedIn employees saying, we're proud of what we produced. But their critique was management and the company itself is terrible.
Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for Nintendo to make another acquisition. I don't know.
See if the risk is worth the reward.
So we'll find out. But we can talk about Metroid Dread, the game that they did produce, because I played through it. I beat it. Took me just over 7 hours. 7 hours and 6 minutes, actually, is what I have here for my first playthrough. I'm going back through it again on hard mode.
Wait, how many?
7 hours and 6 minutes.
Jeez.
To beat it. The first run through. I have I have like a screenshot I took for it, and then I'm going through it a second time on hard mode because I knew I was going to play through it again because I was seeing that people are like, oh, it unlocks hard mode, so I'm like, well, I might as well just go through it and then I'll do it again on hard mode. And this is this is up there as one of the best games of the year for me. So this is it right here.
It's so much fun.
Really, really, really enjoyed my time with it. I'm trying to 100% the game now. I'm not playing hard mode because it's brutal, but I think it's one of the best games I've played this year, and I know we've talked about this before, but it should definitely be in the conversation for Game of the Year this year. I think it's that good.
Let me bring up my WordPad thing because we made that for August Game of the Year. We did put it in there. Okay, I was like, yeah, we did drop that one in there. All right, it is technically one of the highest rated games, the highest rated game of the year, I think, next to It Takes Two, maybe, and Ratchet and Clank.
I was pretty skeptical. Because obviously, like, they have trailers and stuff, and they show you certain elements, and I figured, oh, they're going to show you the most involved parts. But there are a lot of parts they actually didn't show in the trailers that I've genuinely been surprised about, and I have been appreciative of that.
The way that they kind of marketed Emmy was not really anything like Emmy in the game.
Bro,
and
I'm not
saying that was a bad thing. It was just a lot different than what I expected. And I really like Emmy in the game a lot better than the way that that Nintendo was kind of, because Nintendo was kind of showing it off as like a Resident Evil Nemesis type thing where it just follows you around the whole map.
Yeah.
And I like the kind of enclosed areas where you can take Emmy on, because it gives you a really good opportunity to just get the lay of the land and figure out escape routes and what you're going to do and how you're going to, approach it. So I really liked that mechanic a lot. I thought it was really, really cool.
The bosses were good. I like some of the set pieces they had where you might miss some of them because if you don't counter at the right time and then kind of interact, you just won't see it happen. But there are some like legitimately impressive things that happen with those bosses where Samus just messes them up. Like
she's a little badass, dude.
Yeah, he just starts lighting these bosses up. And has those moments where she the boss tries to do something really cool and she just kind of turns one way and then like looks right back at him. So
Click, have you finished the game?
No. So for me, it's taken a little bit longer because, I haven't played a Metroid game in probably like 11, 12 years, I think. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just go back to Super Metroid. But with the way my schedule is, I never got a chance. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. And then, bro, like you can get lost, and it's totally okay because it's like you have the collectibles and stuff. But like certain things, it's just like there are so many elements where you want to go back, but then you're also like, no, I gotta focus. And you're like, wait, where was I going? And then you're just like all over the place. And
I only asked
because
there's some things later in the game that I was going to talk about, but I'll save it.
There are a couple elements where I was like, hold up, like, oh my god. Plus, obviously, the addition to the lore and stuff like that, honestly, like, I love Metroid lore so much, so it's been like an absolute like blast to kind of experience. But the amount of people that I've even seen posting like, yo, I'm gonna start playing Samus and Smash Brothers now, I'm like, oh my god, dude, it's making me so happy because like even just the way she stands, after she defeats an enemy, it's like, yo, she just seriously messed you up and she doesn't even care. It's like Samus is back in action, and the way they add elements, I could just go on forever, but it's nice.
Yeah, I did. I enjoyed it quite a bit from what I played through it. I like I do like the setup for the game and the way that they try to pull you in certain directions without telling you have to go here. It's kind of hard to describe, but like they will give you a power and then immediately have you open a path with that power ability, like the morph ball, for example, to a transporter that then takes to another map essentially. And then you look around where it put you and you're like, oh, okay, I have to kind of go in this direction. So it does try to funnel you in a way, but still allow you to kind of look around.
End of the game, I've noticed it like kind of happens more frequently. Once you start unlocking like the teleporters as well.
Yeah, I'm trying to be like vague with some of it.
There was only really one time where I was like, what do I do next? And then really just took, I need to go this part of the map because I haven't explored it yet. And then that was pretty much all I needed to do, right? So I really like that they don't tell you what you need to do, but they, I guess, subliminally push you in that direction anyway.
This brings up something interesting, MVG. Let me hear your take on this. There was something that came up. I know it was all over. It was all over Twitter. I think David Jaffe was having a hard time with this game. And he brought up the issue with the walls that you don't have any indication they're breakable, but you shoot them and they break and you go through, right? This is something that's been with Metroid for forever. Like it's just been an aspect, and clearly they decided not to go, I guess, the more modern route of make it look breakable in some way. And it was, I mean, they tell you in the beginning, they're like, just start shooting everything. There's no limit on ammo or anything. Just, hey, if you get stuck, try shooting around, see if you can discover it on your own kind of thing, rather than like, for example, when you're jumping around in certain games, like in Assassin's Creed and Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima, they have the moss growing on the ledge or like the white kind of outline of it or stuff. They don't do that in this game. They basically say, just start shooting everywhere. Discover it on your own.
They don't even do it like you were talking about the sequences, like with the boss fights, like the ones that you can parry and do like a whole like kind of cinematic cutscene. Like they don't even tell you what to do at first. So sometimes the boss will like engage with you and you're like, what do I do? And it's like, oh, I'm supposed to like parry or attack there. And I like the fact between the shooting the walls and the not, like most of the time it's like, oh, press X or press the trigger or press something and it kind of give you a time to wait. It's like, no, you're just on your own. It genuinely feels like you're stuck by yourself.
Yeah.
I don't people aren't going to like this, but I don't disagree with Jaffe's take on this. But what I will say is if they did change some of the design to include and show what breakable walls were and stuff on the map, that's kind of changing what Metroid is. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't want to spoil anything. It
like for me,
easier.
for me, if you know what Metroid is and you're going into it, you know exactly what you're getting. And I think they did a really good job keeping, I guess, the source material on point with this. But I don't disagree with what he's saying. But I think it's also quite apparent to me that maybe he's not a big Metroid guy in the first place.
I also don't know if I would quit the game because of that.
Well, see,
I mean,
I don't think I would.
To your point there, MVG, as you mentioned, this is something that Metroid veterans are accustomed to. This is a title that people want newcomers to come to and embrace. So if you do have this type of mechanic in place where it could potentially confuse the player as they don't know what to do, they don't know to shoot this random pixel along a ledge to make the water drain out so you could jump up to the door, that causes that confusion where a newcomer is going to get frustrated with the game and say, okay, I'm done. I played it for the hour. This is frustrating me. I quit.
Did they already buy the game though?
Who knows? We could assume yes. Maybe they borrowed it from somebody.
That's all I needed. All right, we're good.
I don't know at what point though, like, especially now, if you want to buy a game on launch without any idea of what you're getting into, like, and you're frustrated, maybe I can kind of understand that. But also at the same time, like, with the way that the internet is and stuff like that, you have plenty of time to kind of understand what a series is kind of about, in my opinion. So, like, that's kind of like people getting upset about, like, Dark Souls or something for being too difficult or too unforgiving. It's like, well, that's literally what the series is known for. That's its whole stake. And just because we were just talking about this earlier today, is just because you're bad at a game doesn't mean the game is bad. Like, you're just, maybe that's just not for you. Maybe that's not how your brain works. There are a lot of people, they're like, yo, it messed me up. The puzzles pissed me off at first, but once I solved it and I got it, I felt so accomplished and now I'm in love with it. So many people, this is their first Metroid game. Again, no idea what to expect, literally racking up on the hours for their playtime, but now they love it and they like that play style. So it's like, okay, maybe this is their opinion. Reviews are obviously pretty subjective. It didn't work for them. Their brain doesn't work that way, but that doesn't mean the game is bad or needs to change. Like, that just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't mean the game has to change, but it also means that the opinions of an individual like Jaffe aren't wrong.
Sure, well, it's subjective, of course.
I'm not saying Jaffe's wrong. What I'm saying is, I don't even know what I'm saying, honestly. I mean, I think I think I'm just happy that this is a Metroid game and that hasn't really changed. And I think, Nate, to your point real quick, I mean, you said, maybe they should look at ways to make it more accessible. Here's what my response to that is, sure, that may be true, but you're still going to get destroyed on bosses, right? Like, I mean, this is a tough game. You know what I mean? If you're coming into this, thinking that you're going to, breeze through this, if you haven't played a Metroid game before, you may walk away feeling like, wow, this is a challenge that I wasn't really ready for.
I saw some people in the chat with the 7-hour clear time. I play a lot of Mega Man and Metroid like
Yeah.
games. So that for me, this was a bit more straightforward. But MVG's right. There are some points of the game that would be considered pretty difficult at times for even normal.
I'll tell you guys, I probably died 200 times clearing that game. Right? I'm not here saying I'm a great gamer or anything. Like I finished the game, but that last boss like wrecked me about 50 times before I figured out how to beat it.
There. Oh,
You know,
I like that. I actually like that final boss. That was good.
It was fun. It was
Oh,
fun. Yeah.
I'm not even done with the game, and honestly, I think I'm already over 10 hours.
I did 13 on the game.
Person to person.
I did 13 on the game, and I only did 45% of the map.
So
You
now we
need to
get
try
to go into the next part of the topic.
100%ing.
Is it worth $60?
Oh.
I think it is. I think it is.
Yes.
This was a hot topic online too. Is it worth the money?
The game is well paced. I don't think it overstays its welcome in any way. It does what it sets out to do. It's a great Metroid game. $60 is more than fair for what is being offered here.
Yes, I agree. It totally is worth the price.
Even though it's 2D.
Yep.
It's more than just 2D, like the cutscenes and this, like the integration. Like let's be real, there's been 3D games that are not worth $60-$70. Like they're just not. It's again like
So,
it comes down.
What you're all telling me is there is a
worth your
place in this world right now for a $60 2D game.
Yeah.
All right.
Of
Of course.
Good.
I think it
Haven't
depends
we,
on
haven't we
how it's
known
handled.
that since Mario?
What? Correct me if I'm wrong. Did we talk about this when Link's Awakening came out? That was it worth
Yes.
60?
Just gonna write this time down so I can send it to Capcom.
I feel like
Okay,
this
keep going.
conversation comes up all the time. If a game's not 3D, people ask, "Well, is this worth the 60?" I mean, it absolutely is worth the 60.
The problem is that the conversation regarding it isn't even genuine. It's a disingenuous topic by trolls to downplay what a product is because it doesn't fit their criteria of what a AAA game is at full price. And the problem, and that we continue to acknowledge this meaningless debate is just empowering it to return time and time again.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying there is a place for a $60 high budget Mega Man game.
We didn't say that.
What? I think we came to that determination. I think we came to that determination.
Yo, you think Mega Man could handle even just like the scope of cutscenes that Dread has?
I feel like Capcom could do it. What if they put it in the RE engine? That'd be cool.
That would be cool. I think if Capcom marketed a new Mega Man game and they went big, I think I could see it, John. I mean, I think they could do it, but
I could see it too.
It's one of those things where it's like, here's $5 million, make the best game you can. You know,
Mega Man X9 RE engine.
I don't know if they're going to spend the money on it.
They will not. Let's go over to
what Metroid Dread does need, though. And you kind of brought it up in a way, MVG, with the accessibility is I'm colorblind. Seeing the colors of the teleporters was very difficult. Green and yellow blended into
it. Point.
So when I'm going towards one, and I understand you can move the cursor to highlight it so it can say teleporter green. But when I'm just looking at a map quick, green and yellow look the same. So at one point of the game, I was running towards the wrong one because I couldn't tell the two apart. So that would have been a nice option, like a colorblind mode.
Yeah,
that would be nice. Yeah, I think another. I don't want to say criticism, but another part where I think it loses a little bit of points is the music. I'm not into the music in this one.
It's much more ambient. It's not so much like an overarching theme.
Right. Yeah. With Metroid, you always have that. You always remember that area where you say, "Oh, that theme from this region."
Yeah, Metroid
awesome.
Metroid Prime has the theme.
I want North.
It has Fendrana drifts.
I want Kraid music. I want all that stuff. You know,
let's get Metroid Prime in here then.
And
let's do it.
That's definitely an area that, the music they could have improved. And I may be one of the few people who feel this way with Dread. I just never felt really any fear or tension from the game. I didn't get it from Emmy. Emmy, I was just kind of like, I kind of screwed around with Emmy. I was jumping over it, and I was like, "Ha, look at you! You can't catch me."
Is that why?
Is that other end and just blasted it?
Is that why it took you half an hour longer to beat it than it did me?
I probably finished with higher percentage of items.
Oh,
what did you finish with? What do you finish with there?
Emmy.
I don't know, like 83% or something like that.
Exactly.
Have you played Fusion?
I have no idea how many items.
I had like 55.
I have no idea.
Have you played Fusion?
I played a little bit. Yeah, I played back in the day.
Did
But
you
again,
get to
it's
like?
been
Did you get to
forever.
like SAX when SAX bursts out of the wall and just scares the shit out of you on the screen?
Yeah,
Like,
but like honestly, it's like it's hard to kind of compare the two, in my opinion, because of the dynamic of almost how they get like amongst the peers of the games. So it's like I feel like now because of my setup where I am, I'm not as distracted. Like I feel like I'm like an ADHD almost, where like if I have headphones on, I'm sitting here, I'm on a big screen and I'm focused. It hits completely different than if I'm like back and like with a group of friends in a room, just kind of hanging out. It's like, oh, that's kind of creepy. But no, the Emmy were flat out like there were times where I was like like making inaudible screeches because I was like, holy crap, like this thing is yeah, it's good. I like it. It's really creepy.
So as of now, for our Game of the Year list, which actually we're gonna find out nominees in 2 weeks, right? 3 weeks.
Mhm.
It's like right at the beginning of November we find out, because then we have an entire month to argue and complain about them, and then they unveil it. I think the first week of December when they have the show.
You better get ready when CP 2077 is
Hold on.
not there.
No, it's gonna be there. I told
It's
everyone at Too Many
be
Games
there.
it was gonna be there, and they all booed
did.
correctly.
It's not going to be there.
there.
And you better accept that. I don't want to see a video on Spawncast Plus over there saying, "Where's Cyberpunk 2077?"
Okay, but if Cyberpunk is there,
Oh, God.
you got to
I
give me a
blame
shout out.
you.
You got to give me a shout out, Nate the Hates podcast.
I will personally blame you for it being there.
You should.
And if it wins,
Jeff probably saw that and is like, "That's a good idea to get people talking about this." You know what? It's just in.
No. Oh,
It's just
God.
in. Well,
Cruising Blast, that's getting in.
as of now,
That's
as of now we have Monster Hunter Rise, Ratchet and Clank, Deathloop, It Takes Two, Psychonauts 2, or RE Village. We're kind of undecided there, and then Metroid Dread.
Where's Kana? Are we seriously gonna let
Yes.
Sean's experience with Kana affect it?
Yes.
Put it
Sean
on
is
list
the
because
decider.
I said so. Put it on the list.
I think
Dread
that'll
and
be up
Kana
for.
both.
I think that'll be up for Indie Game of the Year, right?
Probably.
See,
I
if
would
Kana doesn't make the
replace-
list, Dread to me can't make the list. They're both.
What?
Yes, honestly.
Dread is amazing.
I need to finish Dread, but Kenna is amazing as well. And like the fact that people are bad at the game and they're saying the game is bad because of it. It's a little tilting.
I love how the
little
chat just
tilting.
went, Kina is not Game of the Year material. Immediately after, Kina is definitely Game of the Year.
Let's do a poll. Let's see what the chat says.
Yeah, let's do the live poll. Let's see what
Oh,
people
gosh.
say.
What about
This'll-
Lost Judgment?
Let me go ahead and recognize Lance
Yeah,
Rubio
that's a
here,
good
who did a
Lance.
very large donation saying, "GME, and don't forget to use their trades on your SWOLED, PS5, and Series X upgrades. Challenge any of you to get more than $325. They still wanted to give me for my Xbox One X." So again, GME, there you go. Take advantage of that. If you can get the trade-in value on that one, definitely do it. Especially for the OLED model. People were saying they only had to spend like $60 to upgrade to it by trading in their like current Switch.
Oh,
Not
that's
bad.
so nice.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
I booted that thing up out of the box and like the speakers like hit me and I'm like, I could feel the sound coming out of it. It was crazy.
So I mean, I think Kana's gonna be up for Indie Game of the Year.
I mean, probably
Yeah.
because this is their first game ever, and I think a lot of people would get upset by it. But to say
Like,
that it's not it couldn't be a contender, I think is crazy.
Like, I kind of think if It Takes Two wasn't on the list, you might see Kana in there.
I don't,
I don't know.
I don't get it.
We'll see. I guess we'll see. But that's the list we have right now. I'm just trying to see how close we'll be to what critics are kind of thinking and what they put up for.
How would you
Nominations.
react if Kenna made the overall Game of the Year list and Metroid Dread was omitted?
I would. That'd be
I'd
weird because
upset by that
Metroid.
too. But
That'd
it
be
is a
weird because
treaty.
Metroid Dread is like the highest rated game of the year, next to Ratchet and Clank, I think.
You have to remember how this goes. Like Ghost of Tsushima was a beautiful game, and it all went to Last of Us Part 2. So like you have to like also think about. I don't think in all honesty, like if we're talking about personal, Kana's on my list, Dread's on my list. If we're serious, I wouldn't be surprised if neither of them are really mentioned.
Mm.
No, I think
I think Dread.
I think Dread made enough of an impact that it will get a nod.
Dread makes the list.
I think it will.
That will perhaps be the greatest achievement in my opinion. That Metroid, like
You
the
know
Metroid series has.
You know what's
achieved in a
crazy?
very long time.
I think Dread has a chance to win Game of the Year.
Well,
I think it
last-
has a legit shot.
The last
Yeah.
Metroid to win Game of the Year, I think, is Metroid Prime 1.
I think so too. But I think this has like a legit shot to actually do it at the Game Awards. Unless something comes out of nowhere and shocks everyone.
See, right now, based on if we're viewing like the Game Awards as the venue, I think the Cinderella story is going to be Psychonauts 2 takes Game of the Year.
Please.
Psychonauts 2 might be there.
That's where I'm
Like that
tipping
could be up
Psychonauts
there
2.
too. Yeah, that's very possible.
I think that one ends up winning at the Game Awards. Psychonauts 2 walks away.
It's the best game I played this year.
Interesting.
So what other award other than Game of the Year do you think Dread could take home?
Switch Game of the Year.
Family Game of the Year.
They do like Family Game of the Year. No. Family Game of the
Very
Year.
family friendly.
Family Game of the Year is going to be Mario Party.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I don't action game maybe. No, action games usually like Call of Duty or Battlefield or
Wouldn't-
something like that.
You know, New World's gonna be in there too somewhere.
Wouldn't
Probably.
Deathloop
Ongoing
be an
game of the
action
year.
game?
Deathloop.
Deathloop will probably win
Yeah.
action game. Yeah. Hmm.
Hmm.
That's why I think everything for Metroid Dread pretty much rides on Game of the Year.
Where does Abandon fit in all this?
Oh.
I heard
That's
their next
the,
announcement is there.
That's
Yeah,
that
show
game.
up.
What are they called? The game in progress thing.
Oh, good.
What's that award called? They give it to
Ongoing game?
Fortnite? Yeah, ongoing game. It's going to go to Abandon.
It cannot be in there.
No.
Best ongoing game might go to Cyberpunk.
Life is Strange.
What is your
Don't-
fascination
don't
with Cyberpunk?
even.
I want to see the internet react.
You
Okay.
just want to see the internet burn.
This is
That's
a
what
venue.
you want to see.
This is a venue that nominated Jump Force for Fighting Game of the Year.
You are
Because there was only like 2
There was
fighting
nothing
games.
else.
All they needed were 2 spots then. Jump Force did not have to be there.
They were like, we have to make this a competition. What do we do? Add in the one that got 1 vote. Like, okay. Like there was no other ones on the ballot. They were like, some asshole actually voted for this, so we have to include it.
Oops.
Makes a lot fresh.
Gosh. All right. We also had sales. The biggest one being in Japan, selling 84,000,
87.
87. Biggest opening, I believe, except for there was one I think that because we don't have data for the original. We don't have data for the original Metroid.
Right,
For
and
the
that
first
sold,
week.
what, like I think it overall sold like 1 million.
What, the first Metroid? The first
Like-
Metroid sold 2.7 million. It was right there with
Oh,
Prime.
just Japan. I think it was 1 million.
Oh yeah, in just Japan, 1 million. But this is the biggest opening we've had for a Metroid game ever in
Ever.
Japan. This is it right here, and it makes sense.
So-
It's a Switch effect.
Is Sean playing Balan Wonderworld?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think everything is really going to ride on that MPD. I will tell you this: if Metroid Dread tops the charts and beats out Far Cry 6 and MPD, it's over. Sean might as well start playing Balan. If that happens.
Is that a tall order though?
Yeah, because okay, so in the US, first person shooters basically reign supreme.
Sure.
So if Far Cry 6 is below Metroid Dread, I would say, yeah, it's probably going to hit 3 million copies.
Does NPD count digital sales for Ubisoft?
They do.
Okay, then we have a better idea of performance. Because if they didn't, then it
Sure.
kind of mixes things a bit.
So if physical copies of Dread outsells all of Far Cry 6,
That would be insane.
Yeah, that's a big
at that
number.
point, do you say Sean should just start getting ready?
We should actually
He
buy
probably
him a
should
costume,
open
too.
it.
Yeah, you should probably open it.
We can get him a mask and a hat too, though.
Get any day one patches installed. Go ahead, just do it. That's the biggest thing I look forward to. We're not going to know anything about that for another month. Yeah,
Yep.
midway through November. So, but good start in Japan, and I guess we'll find out next week how it continued on. Like what kind of tail it could have there
see
for that.
what
So
type of drop off it has, if it holds or not.
the OLED did pretty well too. That actually had a lottery system attached to it just to get them out to people. So the OLED's going to be hot this holiday. The Switch is going to cross the 100 million mark by the end of this year.
Yeah,
Yep.
something catastrophic would have to happen for it not to.
Yeah, basically. So it's going to pass. Like we're going to find out that it's right there with the Wii in the next sales report. I think after this, that'd be in January. Yeah, end of January, beginning of February, we'll find out then, and it's probably going to say something about the Switch being at like 100 million or something, or 101 million, right at the Wii. Evan, we have Discord questions over there.
What is a game release or event in history you wish you could have covered like you do now?
Wow, that's a good. You know what? Maybe the NES when it was first showing up. That could have been interesting after the Atari just dying.
I think I would have liked to have covered the launch of the original PlayStation.
Oh, that's a good one too.
That was just a disruption of the industry like nothing before, in my opinion. And I think for me, that's a big moment.
Because they punched Sega in the face too.
Big time. Big time.
That'd have been great. You didn't realize the reaction videos for that on YouTube? $2.99. Man, that'd have been fun. Yeah, I think it's just that generation, like that N64, PS1, Saturn, when it was still like they were still kind of mean to each other.
Yep.
That would have been good.
Those were good generations when everyone was flexing horsepower. But we move 100,000 polygons a second. Yeah, well, we move 150. Like,
yeah.
Oh shit, that game's gonna look so much more real. Like that guy has an extra polygon in his face. PlayStation sucks. Like,
oh, maybe the death of the Dreamcast. Even that'd have been interesting. The cover.
PS2 killed that thing.
Yeah,
and Sega killed it itself because they didn't know how to budget games, and that
was a good point. They spent a lot of money on Shenmue.
Yeah, they only had to sell 30 copies to every Dreamcast sold in the world to make the budget back. Some ridiculous number.
You got another Discord question, Evan?
Do you think we could get Sean to enhance the bet if it sells 4 million within the year? Do we think we can get him to stream the entirety of Balan from front to back on his channel?
We should make him just cosplay.
I want him to cosplay.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Unless there's a sponsor that's involved, I don't see that happening.
Sponsors.
What's Sean cosplaying as? Like,
just wears the hat. He'll just wear the
hat with the mask.
I don't know any of the characters.
The cover, just like the cover.
Mr. Balan.
Mr. Balan. He should just cosplay as like the box art itself, just like be a Switch game.
Man,
that would be great. We should do that. Evan, we got another Discord question.
Most overrated Nintendo franchise.
Ooh.
Overrated?
Ooh, overrated. Wow.
Mario?
What?
Mario.
The Universal franchise.
Overrated. Most overrated one.
Mario.
You mean that's in terms of like like how much hype it gets versus sales?
I mean, maybe
it's gonna get ugly really fast.
Maybe it's just personal preference. I don't know. Like Yoshi's Island, I didn't really enjoy. I don't know.
Man, most overrated Nintendo franchise.
Mario.
Maybe Pikmin, because everyone always wants Pikmin 4, but no one buys Pikmin.
Yeah, maybe Pikmin.
The best-selling Pikmin just happened like a year ago, and it was 2 million copies or something.
Can I say Paper Mario?
No.
Unallowed.
You can. But... You know what? I like this one in the chat. I kind of like this one in the chat. Mother Earthbound.
Whoa! What? Hold on.
Whoa, wait a minute. It's kind of overrated. We haven't had a game in 20 years. How does it have so many legions of fans for a game that didn't sell? Because it's absolutely incredible. No, it's a meme online to beg for a game you can't have. He's right. Look, Click is saying I'm right from the kitchen or the parlor. We don't know where she went.
I was getting banana nut bread.
The parlor?
Well, you know what, Nate? You're going to have to show up next year to Too Many Games and tell everyone in the crowd exactly that. If I ask people name another character in Mother or Earthbound that's not named Ness and Lucas, they would know. Shut up, French father. People need to play the game. It's good. I have played the game, but I was like 15. Can we say Bayonetta? Does that count? No, it's a Sega IP.
You want that smoke online?
That's true. It's not Nintendo.
You can't say Astral Chain.
Hold up.
Yeah, Astral Chain actually did pretty well for being a new IP.
Not enough people talk about Astral Chain. Shut up. No.
LJ won't shut up about it.
I mean, an overrated Nintendo franchise, that's really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, most of our answers have been just in jest.
Yeah.
Whoa, whoever said Clubhouse games in the chat, let's get them out of there.
Click is serious that Mario's overrated.
I could reenact a Mario game right now for you, and it would apply to like all of them.
Let's see it.
Really?
No. Yes.
I'm Mario. Whoa! Hi.
He's so cool.
He's so cool.
Luigi.
He's so cool.
Oh, God. Here comes Bowser. Oh, Peach, woman. Oh, Mario, you're so. I'm ready to steal Peach. Oh, Mario! Whoa! And then there's Toad somewhere in the background. And then, hold on. Jump, hit blocks. Final boss. Woohoo! Punches him, flies away. Thank you, Mario.
Yeah,
It's like I just played the
but then
game.
she makes him a cake.
Like I was there.
I'm convinced Mario's overrated.
You're welcome.
This is
I
from
feel a lot of pent up aggression against Mario,
Yeah,
honestly.
what did Mario ever do to you?
He's gotten a theme park and Zelda hasn't. All right, bring Zelda to Orlando, you cowards.
this
Yeah,
is
but
from
that's because
Yeah,
Mario is,
2045.
everyone knows Mario.
this is from
It's the
Mug
Legend of
saying-
Zelda, and it's about a guy named Link.
This is
Doesn't
from
even
Pat.
make sense.
You don't insult Linky.
This is from Patrick saying, "Thank you so much for signing my Pokemon backpack. I love you guys. Can't wait to see you next year. We will be there. We're gonna
Heck
make Nate
yeah.
go too.
Yes, we will.
Yep.
But I'm staying home.
What?
No, you won't.
No, MVG has to go. So many people asked for MVG. He has to be there.
Based on the
Maybe.
tweets I saw,
Maybe.
no one asked for me.
What? No, people
Bro,
asked
they
for
were
you.
literally photoshopping your logo in different photos. It was like, where's Waldo? But instead,
Yeah.
where's Nate?
I was there. I was on Evan's shirt.
Oh gosh.
I
Andy
was
says.
corrupting him.
Andy says visiting my parents. Shout out to
It's the
my
other way
mom.
around, bro.
Hope all is well with you and yours. Thanks, Andy.
Yo, shout out to Mama Ackerman.
There you go. Ross says, let's see. Since Dreamcast guy is online tonight, I started it and am playing Judgment for the first time after playing Yakuza 0 to 3. So far, so good.
Gears Judgment,
Yes.
great game.
Here's just
Nintendo Derek says if the Nintendo expansion was $15 to $20 cheaper, but did not include Genesis and did not include Microsoft Rare on N64, would it be a better deal? Probably.
So
Yes.
$35 for Nintendo and 64.
Nintendo 64 games, 8 of them, and then the other one's coming. Maybe they just slot Majora's Mask in or something, or F-Zero X instead of Banjo, and then they have the other ones coming later.
Definitely be an
Wait.
easier sell.
Probably, I think it'd be an easier sell too.
I
Yeah.
thought you guys really wanted Banjo, though.
I mean, I have Banjo on the
Yeah.
Xbox, on the 64, on my phone.
Yeah,
Banjo's.
like 3-4 weeks ago, you guys were talking about how Banjo would be
I-
crazy to have.
I was not really. Banjo's good, but it's not for me. It's one of those games you're going to go back. Well, if you've never played it, it's going to really annoy you because it's a big collectathon game, and it hasn't aged particularly well. And there's probably people in the chat that are going to like go off at me, but it's not particularly aged very well. It's
I
a
think
great game, but it's a game of its time as well. So.
A Banjo collection would have been cool
That
to have
Hank
on the
Hill?
Switch. So that'd have been fun.
Damn it, Bobby.
Matthew says,
Dang it,
Matthew
Bobby.
says,
Banjo's
Matthew
really
says,
good, by the way.
Gene Park for Spawncast. We should get
Hey,
Gene on
Yeah,
Spawncast.
let's get Gene on.
Let's do it.
Right
Gene's a
now,
good
here we
guy.
go.
All right, cool. Luke says, are any of you
Yeah,
Like
good
this dying for some reason.
are any of
I
you
wonder why, Nate.
confused
What?
or
What did I do? I was
concerned?
just fucking boom howl. Hey, yo, man,
Luke says, are any of you
Best playing
confused
Boomhauer.
and or concerned that the Advanced Wars remake seems to not be releasing in Japan? It still hasn't been announced for Japan, which seems very odd for a Nintendo game to release
It's-
only in the West.
Oddly not odd for the Advance Wars series because the last one on the DS didn't release in Japan until it was offered as a club Nintendo game because Advance Wars doesn't sell in that region.
Oh, there you go.
The last one bombed so badly that they just like were not even bothering to release it in the region.
Throne says Nintendo Switch Online Expansion Pass isn't worth it. A resolution bump with no 60 FPS support when phones and even old PCs can do a better job with proper widescreen. This is M says, until GameCube comes to Nintendo Switch Online, I can't justify paying $50. I wonder how much that service would cost.
GameCube will not come to the Switch Online.
They're just going to remaster
you
them, I
shut your
assume, with
mouth.
releases.
They're just
Yeah.
going to remaster the games as they should.
And then they'll be $60.
We're about to see Metroid get remastered or remade, right?
Yes,
Something like
we
that.
are, and
So,
you too.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem with the GameCube games, 'cause I saw it a lot on Twitter, is you have to remember the file sizes of these games. So let's say just for the average number, we say 500 megabytes, which would be on the lower end. If you give 10 games, that's 5 gigabytes of memory space from the system you now have to allocate. When you're looking at N64 games and NES and Super NES and Genesis games, these games are like 64 megabytes. They're small. They're not requiring substantial space to put them on. So when you get into talking of GameCube and Wii games, you're looking at much bigger file sizes, and that makes the app a little more impractical.
Mr. says it's much less of a price hike in the UK for the expansion, which is weird. Liam says, is OJ done with the Spawncast? No, OJ's still on his vacation, so he'll be back at some point. He's thinking towards the end of October, beginning of November, he should be back. But he's been doing live streams now So I would also check in there, and you can talk to him about his vacation and everything there.
Taking a refresher. I
Yeah.
understand. I mean, dealing with you guys all the time. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
Yeah.
check in with OJ on his live stream too. He can kind of talk to you about his plans for when he's coming off his vacation and everything. Cleo says, Jordan, whatever happened to cartoon crossovers like Jimmy, Timmy Power Hour? Our shows nowadays not good enough.
It's not that they're not good enough. It's that there's just no, for the most part, longevity with cartoons. A lot of them only run the course for a couple seasons, and then that's really about it. You go back to Fairly Odd Parents, that still has new stuff coming out. Jimmy Neutron had a movie and a spin-off. Like, it's really complicated. I'd like to see more of it. I think it's fun when it happens. I don't think it's completely dead, but you know.
Evan, you want to hit us with a Discord question?
What are some of the cast's favorite horror / generally spooky movies?
The news.
I like Event Horizon.
Yo, Event Horizon.
I like Event Horizon.
Yeah.
It's underrated.
Definitely.
Oh, yo, Event Horizon. Oh, you just unlocked.
I mean, Dead Space the movie?
Yeah, I sat at the front of the theater for that, and when the opening scene happens, when it's that spinning freaking satellite, and I'm just sitting there, I was like, oh god.
Yeah, do you remember Alien?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alien.
Yes,
good.
I remember.
You remember that
Alien.
really old movie,
No.
Alien?
No, oh, sorry, not Alien.
Remember the
Alien.
just
No,
disgustingly old dinosaur archaic film Alien?
Bad brain fart. No, not Alien.
Calm down there,
It
Tom
was
Holland,
about
Spider-Man.
aliens. Signs.
Signs. Oh yeah.
Not Alien.
Mine's
Signs.
good.
Yes, that's good.
Remember that old movie Nightmare on Elm Street?
Remember
And
that
thing?
Oh, the thing.
That
Well, that's
old
so
monster
old.
god. Yeah,
The thing's a great movie.
it is really
Let's
good.
Yeah.
let's go over to the GTA trilogy as we finish up here, because it looks like they already confirmed that it's happening. They're doing this in stages, by the way. It's like every week they're just talking about this a little bit more, and it appears that there was a description that was pulled down going over some of the, I guess, enhancements that they'll have along with system requirements. But some of the enhancements include better visuals. What they're looking for is high resolution textures, increased draw distance, and Grand Theft Auto 5 style controls and targeting, and they say much more. So I do wonder what these games are going to look like when they get revealed, because we heard Unreal Engine is a possibility. But now we have listings going up and they pulled down. So I mean, are we like a week away from these being shown, Nate?
We can hope.
I mean, it
it's
seems like
supposed
we're
to come
very
out.
close.
Yeah, it's supposed to come out in November, so they kinda have to get on it.
It sounds like we're getting physical copies.
That's surprising because the original rumor from Kotaku was saying digital only.
Yes.
And those retail listings were suggesting full price.
Yeah, well, okay. So if these are actual like Borderline remakes and they look good and they're 3 good Grand Theft Auto games, 3 Vice City and San Andreas, what do you think? $60 for that? If it's like legit in terms of what they've done to it in terms of work?
If it's legit work and it's a nice improvement to the visuals where it looks different enough from the PlayStation 2 originals, 3 games for $60, I think Rockstar could get away with that.
Oh, I mean, yeah, people are just, they want something else from Rockstar, some kind of release, anything. And I feel like this
these games are going to be new to a lot of people.
Yeah, I thought about that too. I'm like, man, how many people do you think came into this whole thing and Grand Theft Auto 5 is their first one? Or Grand Theft Auto Online, maybe they never even played 5.
Yeah, I mean, Grand Theft Auto 3 is what started it all.
Yeah. That was a big, dude, when that came out on the PS2, that was a big deal. That was crazy. I remember you go over like what's that?
How much is the game?
It's probably going to be 60. I don't know if they're going to go 7. I don't know if they're going to go 70. I think it's just going to be 60. Because it sounds like it's going to come out as PS4 and Xbox One just with backwards compatibility, and then they'll have a patch later on. Otherwise, 60 across the board. I like the idea of them just having a Switch cartridge, I guess. Just no downloads, please.
Oh, that would be sweet.
That'd be pretty cool, right? If they did that. So the idea of having those 3 games in one package, and if they are new for a lot of people, I mean, that's a pretty good deal, right? I will say that is a solid package if you have never played them. Going from 3 up to San Andreas is like, I still think, I mean, just about the peak of Grand Theft Auto. San Andreas is very good.
I want to see this before I decide I'm going to buy it.
Yes, we have to see that there's actual work done to it. Like, legit.
I'm a little worried about this one Like
Okay.
I feel like
Interesting.
I feel like even though they're saying up-res textures and better draw distance, what if they just took the Android version and up-res textures and gave it a better draw distance?
No.
Let's
Right,
say, let's say MVG. Let me ask you this then: if so, we have that. What if it is this Unreal Engine rumor and it shows up and it like actually looks more modern, like in terms of like, oh, they're using Unreal Engine and all this.
Oh, well, then I think that's definitely worth another look at for sure.
So we have an idea. Okay, Android, it's like, but then it's like,
but I'm just a little worried because we've seen nothing of this game, right? And when is it supposed to be coming out? November?
Next month.
I mean, that isn't uncommon for Rockstar.
It's not, but it's also like, I don't know. I feel like, I don't know. It just feels like they should have shown us something by now. I feel like
this would be history as well, because we've never had these any of these Grand Theft Auto games on a Nintendo home console.
They were supposed to happen, and they just never came to the platform.
It seemed like there were just issues. I guess you think Nintendo had issue with it.
I don't think it wasn't so much Nintendo. I think it was the mini DVD.
That too.
File
the
size
GameCube
and stuff, because they did have a running version of Grand Theft Auto 3 was actually announced for the GameCube.
Yeah, but they never did it on the Wii.
Canceled.
But they did like Bully.
They did Bully and Manhunt 2.
Yeah, Manhunt 2. It's like you put that on there, but you're not going to put Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Seemed weird.
Yeah, that was.
It seems like the stars are going to align for this one, so that'll be an interesting announcement to see Nintendo next to Grand Theft Auto.
Hopefully the version is. Hopefully, the release is good. It's quality, because we can really have portable Grand Theft Auto 3 trilogy. And
Let them
especially
know
on a
MVG.
Nintendo console.
Already doing that on the Vita.
prepare for
But we're not all MVG.
Prepare for disappointment.
Oh man, MVG's already putting it out there.
No,
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced this is going to be anything that great.
Okay. Well, I mean, hopefully we find out in the next week or two. So we'll revisit the topic then when we see screenshots and gameplay and all of this. So we have some super chats to finish up here, and then of course the Discord questions. Evan, if you want to start going through those.
All right. If you could pick any exclusive game and port it to new platforms, what would it be?
You said just what was it?
Any exclusive game, I guess, to a platform and then port it to other platforms. Which one would it be?
Oh.
Metal Gear Solid 4.
Yeah. I mean, that comes up every time, doesn't it? It's like Metal Gear Solid 4 is still stuck on that PS3.
The easy answer is anything that's locked on the PS3.
Pretty much. Puppeteer?
Yep.
Yeah.
What's that about? Puppeteer.
Ask Sony. I mean, they could technically do anything with that they want. Sony just doesn't want to bother with it. Hell, the studio that made it doesn't even exist anymore.
And that too. And they're probably like, are that many people really going to buy this thing?
No one bought it the first time.
Oh, you know what'd be a good one? Is if they got Gravity Rush and put that on something like the Switch.
Yeah,
that'd be interesting to see how that would do there. Perform there.
Happy with that.
I'm just trying to help. I'm trying to save some of these Sony Japan games. You can keep going with some of these questions.
I guess since we were talking about GTA, are we confident that these GTA remaster games or enhanced games coming out would probably not be censored, like to kind of modernize them with a little bit of game censorship that might be needed? I don't know.
You know what? That's the thing I'm going to be curious MVG's take, because we're going to see how well these games run in the first place, and I'm sure you're going to do your own comparisons when it comes to the performance and emulation. I don't know if they're going to go in and edit any of the content though.
I think the Vice City soundtrack is going to get changed, right? Because I mean, a lot of that licensed music is probably not going to carry over. So I think a lot of the soundtrack stuff is going to get adjusted.
I mean, that's something they could have renegotiated for this release. I mean, Vice City without the soundtrack isn't Vice City.
That is a good soundtrack.
I mean, that's the epitome of 80s music. If you don't have that, if I'm not driving the streets of Miami listening to Push It to the Limit while gunning down a slut, that's not Grand Theft Auto Vice City.
Go on.
Dude, that was a good commercial though for that game back in the day. A Flock of Seagulls.
Yeah, I ran.
That was good. That was good with
It's a good song.
What's the point of Grand Theft Auto again?
I mean, I think Nate just he spelled it out for you.
You build a crime empire.
You build an empire. Yeah.
Vice City is literally Scarface.
Yep.
Voiced by
If
Ray
it-
Liotta.
If it's worth $60 to you,
Yes.
go ahead.
It's not 2D, okay? It's 3D.
I do
Yes.
wonder about the music, Nate. I mean, look at Crazy Taxi, like the up modern takes on that. It's the same Crazy Taxi, but there's no Offspring anymore. They've just, I mean,
It's not Crazy Taxi to me then.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just regular taxi.
It's just regular
Average
with
taxi.
Jimmy Fallon.
Jimmy Fallon. I mean, and that's why that version of Crazy Taxi kind of sucks.
I don't even
I don't
look
even
at it.
acknowledge that one's existence. I
no.
just turn on the Dreamcast and pop in the original and say, this is the true Crazy Taxi. And then I listen to Crazy Bus on YouTube and question life.
Called Crazy Frog.
Oh, gosh.
Bang, bang.
In honor of Metroid Monkey Ball,
Oh,
have
a
you,
crazy frog.
Jesus Christ. In honor of Metroid Monkey Ball, have you ever reached a point in a game where you just give up on continuing your progress due to difficulty?
I mean, there was about 7 or 8 times during Metroid Dread that I wanted to smash the
Switch.
Joy-Con, but
It's too bad Sean's not here. He can tell us all about his Kana exploits.
He did
think
rage
I'll
quit
take-
delete.
He rage quit the PS4 version.
I think
What was
when
his-
I wasn't streaming games, I would take a break and like come back to it. But like when I'm streaming now, it's like it's personal. Like people
It's
be like, "Oh, you
personal.
can just come back to it. Like just chill out." I'm like, no. Like we're finishing this tonight. Yeah, I don't think there's a game I've stopped playing though because of difficulty. For me, it's almost like, no, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna feel like satisfied.
Okay.
The only thing I stopped, and it was just a side mission, was the last knitted night trial in Sack World because I couldn't get the gold because I'd fall off. It takes you 10 minutes to go through the stage and you can't die. You have to do 10 minutes to get a gold straight through. And I was like at 9 minutes. I could see the finish line. And I got hit by a spike and I failed. And I just yelled at the PS5 and I'll one day beat it. But,
Do-
you know,
Do we
quit the game?
Do we think if Metroid Dread gets nominated for Game of the Year that would play greatly into a spike in sales that might lead it to 3 million?
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
why it needs to be nominated. I'm playing the long game here now with
Would love
Sean. He's gonna be really mad if that gets nominated. By the way, so that is he might as well start playing Balan then.
Do you see future Switches featuring the OLED screen, or will Nintendo try to keep it exclusive to this model?
They cannot go back to LCD at this point. I've
They
seen the OLED. There's no going back.
I
Yeah.
think the Lite should have gotten the OLED, and it probably may still get the OLED panel at some
They
point.
could still do that, right? Move it up to 250, drop the
Sure.
OLED in, and
Sure.
call it a day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if they change the materials up a bit on it too, so it feels a little more premium since it's going to have that OLED? This is very plasticky right now. The light with that LCD. Huh.
All right, we'll go with wouldn't Switch 4K as a name for the Switch successor create the same confusion as Wii U did as a successor for the Wii?
I think the good thing about that is that 4K marketing's already done. So like people know what 4K is. No one knew what that U was. What was that U?
Yeah, I mean, they wouldn't
I don't know what
call
that
it a
was.
Switch 4K. I mean, you'd come up with something better than that. They'd probably still have
Yeah.
Switch
No.
in the name, but it could be super.
They're going to overthink it.
Switch.
They're going to overthink it. Just call it Switch 4K. You're good.
Just like Switch Home.
Oh gosh, they're going to
Switch
call it like
God.
Switch UK or something. And everyone's
call
going to be
it
like,
the
wait, can I play that in my
Switch
region?
UK.
I don't know.
It's
Does
the
that work
MVG
here?
system.
Just call it the Switch 2. Just
Yo,
call it the
MVG's got to
Switch 2.
collect the bag though for the marketing. It's
Switch
like, it's
UK.
my time. It's my time.
Call it the Switch 2. It worked for PlayStation. Just put a number on the end of it and just keep incrementing the
But
number every time.
Microsoft's whole thing with the
you'll be fine.
Xbox 360 is like, we can't call it Xbox 2 because there's a PS3. People think 2
Call it
less than
Switch
3.
Duo.
And look where that got them.
Hey, 360 did well.
Yeah, and then they're like, "What do we do? Let's
Yeah,
call
what
the
do we
next one a
do?"
1. Like, why? That's what we wanted to avoid. Let's try it. Shit. What are we gonna do now?
Let's go with letters.
Series.
TV.
TV.
Oh, God, connect.
TV.
Since the mobile versions of Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3 were released on the Nintendo Switch back in 2019, do you think there is still a chance of Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 making their way to the platform as well?
Ooh. Yes.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Yes, I hope so.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I mean,
I'm
I'm
gonna say
just
yeah- I'm
looking
gonna say
forward
yes.
to that.
I'm gonna put that energy out there. I'm gonna say yes.
I'm just looking forward to that 2D HD remake of 3.
Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. So here's hoping it's out someday, next 2 or 3 years.
I'm just gonna. Although Smash Brothers already has a high review score for its original release, do you think it deserves a higher score now, 3 years later?
Do we re-review games based on the downloadable content?
It's not normal.
I don't know, because that would open it up for a lot of games. Then I don't know if we could do that.
I feel like the closest that happens is if the DLC is big enough, they'll usually just review the DLC as like a separate thing.
Then you have to re-review a lot. Like No Man's Sky would have to be re-reviewed.
Yeah.
Completely different
across
game.
the board. Yeah. I don't know if we would get an overwriting review score. I don't know if that's a good idea.
Wouldn't having to patch your Switch games for compatibility with rumored Switch successor be a game preservation issue, as when the update servers are down, you wouldn't be able to play your original Switch games anymore?
Yep.
Yeah, probably. That's about right. So hopefully it's something that I don't know. I don't know how you deal with that. That's going to be Nintendo probably messed it up. All right.
That's pretty much it for that.
Okay.
What do you mean?
Just expect
Pretty much it.
just
Either it is or it isn't.
hey, just expect them to mess it up, and if they don't, it's a nice surprise. There we go.
That means there's a Discord in there. Everyone's like, no, I'm not touching this one.
Jason says, wouldn't it be cool if Sega made a 3D Sonic game in a Sega Saturn style? I've played both the 3D games, and it had me wishing for that.
No.
Sega Saturn style would be interesting. So I don't know. You guys says every time you put a game on the service, any rights holders gets a cut. How do you think this cost affects what can actually be put on the service versus what players actually utilize? For the Genesis games, I think they should have just bypassed that and just gone 64 and with a lower price. That's my thought.
Yep.
That Genesis, I think that was a strange decision. Unless they have more down the road, like if Saturn eventually piles in and then Dreamcast, I'll be like, that's probably a good idea to form that relationship there. But we'll see. Bronze says the $50 isn't worth it to me. I only want to play Mario Kart 64. Lucius says my Switch died, and when I recovered it, I lost 500 hours of Pokemon and 500 hours of Animal Crossing.
Rip.
Dang.
Well,
That's a lot of time.
I know that feeling.
Oh yeah, they said Nintendo's biggest games don't support cloud saves. Oh yeah, Pokemon doesn't have cloud save, does it?
I think Splatoon
I forgot
didn't
about
either,
that.
right?
Was this like anti-hacking or something? Like
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
they claimed
think
it was
people ended up
anti-hacking, but then
hacking anyway.
people were posting up videos of hacking. It's like, really?
it was like with Pokemon, I guess you can move stuff to the cloud and basically duplicate Pokemon.
Yeah.
So that's what they're worried about. But
yeah.
Grief says Nintendo Switch Online's price hike got me back into emulating N64. There you
Weird flex, but okay.
go. This is Vegan says, what if they announce something else like a server update or something extra on expansion release date? It's possible. We can always hope, though. I think if they just give us a schedule for one of the other ones, like Majora's Mask is in there, F-Zero X, those are pretty good games. So maybe just drop a schedule for when they're coming out. Joshua says, I pre-ordered a Switch OLED from Walmart on July 16th. It was supposed to be here October 10th. I'm still waiting for it. What was the point of pre-ordering?
He's got the RGT problem, yeah.
Yeah. Then we have Griefing says, only one. New Banjo-Kazooie or new Donkey Kong game?
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Will says, I got a family plan with 7 mates on board to split the cost as value is concerned. We are getting a good deal. Single user sub not worth it. Go family. Brent says, I've never played Silent Hill 2 or 3, knowing the HD collection has problems. Is it still playable since the originals are so expensive? Also, how is the Xbox version of 2?
I mean, it's playable, but it's not how you'd want to play it.
I remember those had some when those things came out, the collection, I remember those things were just busted.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it
would
was bad.
avoid the HD collection. Go with the original PS2 version, and the OG Xbox version is pretty good too.
It has its own special ending that you can get as well on the OG Xbox.
Yep.
Swag says, if Nintendo makes Mother 3 an expansion exclusive, I will buy it. You know what? That would be the card that Nintendo will pull here. They'll have Game Boy Advance go there, and the big special thing they'll do is they will translate Mother 3 and they'll put it there. And immediately they'll have these sign up. They'll have 10 full signups. No.
10, damn, you're getting a little optimistic there, huh?
That would be something that Nintendo could do, because they wouldn't technically be putting the game in stores or even on their eShop. I mean, That's a good way to sell it, isn't it? If Game Boy Advance showed up and that was there, you know what they'll do? Game Boy Advance will show up and that'll just be part of the Japan one.
Yep. People are like, why isn't it here? Like,
Telling you, it's gonna happen. Sebastian says, "Hey guys, I recently scored a JVC XI. I never got to experience the Sega CD. And I'd love to get into it on the original hardware, but most of the games I want to play are way too expensive."
I think Sean used to have one, or may still have one, the XI, which is the Sega CD thing that JVC brought out. It's like this tiny Sega CD unit. They're really expensive and really low.
Was it the CDX? The small little?
Yeah, that's the one. It's well, no, the CDX, but there's also another model which was the XI.
Okay. Danny Boy says, "Anyone play New World? If so, thoughts?" Evan and Click played New World, and they talked about it in person at Too Many Games, so they must really like it.
170 hours so far.
Wow.
If you're playing it, don't speed through it. They were not ready for endgame, and there's so many bugs, so many problems.
Yeah.
Oh,
I agree. I'm
okay.
probably about 130 in. I think.
Jeez.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I'm with the group.
Hold on. Click said she couldn't play Tales of Arise because it would take too many hours to play through it.
No, because I said it took too many hours that would eat into my New World time.
Oh, okay. The truth comes out. Okay.
Come at me.
Juice Man Vaughn says, "I say give the expansion 6-12 months to make a more solid consensus about where it stands. However, Nintendo cannot drip feed content." Yeah, I mean, there's a good chance that in a year people look at it and they're like, okay, that's better. But the good news is it's optional. It's not like the $20 one where we were like, well,
that or nothing.
That's what we're getting. That's it. But yeah, I think that's a good idea. If you have to like pause for a minute and wonder if it's worth it to you because you don't play Animal Crossing, then
just hold off.
I would just hang out for a little bit and see what they do. Yeah. I mean, if they're not getting signups like they think they should, then they'll start probably adding stuff to it.
This
so
is true.
GoldenEye.
They might. Q says if Nintendo would drop Wii Bowling 99 on the Nintendo Switch Online, nobody would play it. I would play that immediately, and that would be absolutely incredible if they put you in a bowling alley and you could look left and look right, and it's just endless lanes all the way down because you have
amazing. Oh my god.
Yeah, you have like 48 other people on either side of you or something like that. That would be so cool. Marky says I'm mowing the lawn and drinking Melbourne.
Nice.
Tom says for those that have Nintendo Switch Online already, no one is talking about the prorate discount for the upgrade. Let's say when you upgrade, it's discounted to $10 to $20. Yeah, it depends on when you signed up. They'll just they'll basically cut it down depending on what you've signed up for recently. Steve said, just got my copy of Metroid Dread graded by Wada. I'm selling it for $32 million. I'll use that to buy thousands more. Just rinse and repeat. RG2 playing Balan by Thanksgiving. Steve's got to figure it out. I have some more super chats to go through here, but I want to do some outros as well as we finish up with them. Let me go over to Miss Click. Where can everyone find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You can find me here on YouTube as Miss Click Gaming, where I did just post my Animal Crossing discussion, reaction, all that stuff is on there. If you're wanting to see more in depth on my opinion on things, it is there. Otherwise, you can find me live almost every day on Twitch, except for Sundays, and that is MissClick_live. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter or Instagram as just MissClick.
I really wish I didn't fall out of Animal Crossing. People seem so happy about that expansion.
Bro, they added actually a lot of things in that people have been wanting for so long, including in the previous games. So I know people who don't cry. They were legitimately so thrilled because it's been decades.
And this is Victor says, can someone explain Analog OS and if I will ever get an Analog Pocket? Well, the Analog Pocket one I'm not sure of. MVG had to even ask Twitter, what is this?
I'm still confused, but I think what's happening is they're just adding a operating system known as Analog OS to all their existing products. That's like a unified OS across the board to kind of just make things a lot more streamlined. I think that's what they're doing.
Okay. Joel says, fun fact, PlayStation Plus gave me a ton of Genesis and Dreamcast games for the PS3 back in the day. I have proof they did it. They did too. Sega might be cheap to license. Foxden says a big hello. Hoping all of you guys are having a great night. You guys rock. I watch a lot of the group's channels and wanted to say keep it. That was from Foxden earlier. Thanks, Foxden. Thumb says, Dreamcast guy, are you ever afraid to take a walk at night? You run into PlayStation 2 man in an alleyway. Doom Slayer says 10 Switch Online plus expansion pack will be worth it if it included hot weenus.
Doesn't hurt.
There you go. Nate, you want to let everyone know where they can find you?
They can find me on YouTube at Nate the Hate and on Twitter at Nate the Hate, followed by the number 2. MBG and myself will have a podcast up next week, going into a slightly deeper dive into the N64 and the future of Nintendo Switch Online. Right now, we have a podcast discussing the new Nintendo Switch hardware that Bloomberg had reported. We go into some additional details that they had not reported, including launch window timing, when developers got dev kits, and some details like that. So you can find that on the channel right now.
It's Trip says, hello, Spawncast. Hope all is well. Spawnwave, when are you buying RG85 Balan Wonderworld? He already has it. He's good to go. He's waiting for the word that it's sold enough. Fish Fan says, thanks for another great show, Spawn Crew. Shout out to MIA85. What's the chance that RGT misses next week due to internet issues? 50-50. He should be here next. He'll be here next week. He'll tell us all about his new place, I'm sure. And this is,
I don't know if we need to hear that.
Shinru says Nintendo Live interviewed a Square Enix rep about Kingdom Hearts coming to Switch natively. Apparently it's still on the table. When could we see it? I'm gonna say probably never.
I mean, that response was one of the weirdest PR statements
It was
I've ever
strange,
seen.
wasn't it?
Of, like, are you guys gonna do a native version? It's undecided. Why did you release Cloud then? Well, that's the version that we knew we could bring to the Switch. What? What do you mean it's undecided? You made the decision.
Donovan says favorite game
Undecided, man.
Donovan asks favorite game in the Fallout series. I'm going with 3. I like Fallout 3.
New Vegas.
Yeah, 3 or New Vegas. Go back and forth on those 2.
Yeah. Shinru says, hey, Nate and MG, could the next Switch release be two versions? One supports physical games for 450, digital only for 350, supports 4K 60 FPS games.
If Nintendo wants to have a digital only SKU available, yes.
Okay. Sean says Xbox fridge holds up to 12 cans per target. Danny says, did anyone see David Jaffe's PS2 God of War game director review of Metroid Dread? He gave up on the game after 5 hours in and said the game had, we'll say, terrible game design. We talked about that earlier. And then Deathblow, did OJ permanently quit the Spawncast? He did not. Should be back hopefully in a couple of weeks after his vacation's all done.
We should have an FAQ on the start.
We
of
should.
the description tab. OJ is on vacation.
No one reads it.
Sean is moving house. Dreamcast guy left early. They'll all be back. We promise.
Ton says it's horrible that Mercury Steam has that policy. They are hurting the future of their employees by not having them credited.
Indeed.
Jay Thomas says, is anyone else worried that Nintendo won't carry over the ability to use its official N64 Super Nintendo controllers on its next generation system? I think it'll still work because it's just synced through like Bluetooth. So I feel like that's hopefully something they'll do. Matanumi says, I also work in a creative industry, hours on hundreds of shows. I haven't gotten credit once. It's just the way it is. Thankfully, at least we have a decent union and I can find work when it's busy. Jared says, in Samus Returns, you could scan to find breakable blocks. You actually have a scan in this one too, by the way. I want to say that you do have a way to scan. It's later on, so if he's 5 hours in, there should be a way to scan.
If he had played more, he would have found that out.
Donovan says, MVG, your soft background effect, is it from a specific camera or the result of a certain software, and if so, which one?
It's the NVIDIA, what's it called? The NVIDIA thing. Yeah, the NVIDIA broadcast. Yeah.
Broadcast. Yep. Ryan says, opinion on an easy mode for Dread. Bosses are too hard. I think I'm okay with the difficulty on it myself. They have a hard mode. It gets harder. If it makes you feel better.
I didn't find normal mode to be like super difficult.
It's challenging.
It's challenging where, I think the most I had to attempt the boss was maybe 4 or 5 times. It was just mostly figuring out the pattern.
Yeah.
But I could have seen them implement some sort of, I don't want to call it an easy mode, but just when you went through a different phase of a boss, maybe you got extra health.
Right.
That could assist the player in that type of sense.
Yeah. I wouldn't be mad if it had an easy mode, but it doesn't. So
I don't know. The bosses do a good job of rewarding you though. If you're parrying and doing the
you're right.
dodges right, they do give you extra missiles and extra
health. Whole thing.
Yeah, it's just you just have to be patient, like learning that pattern. And there were multiple times where I was playing last night. One of the bosses was kicking my butt. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'm not mad at the game, I'm mad at myself. Games like Metroid, you have to get mad at yourself. You can't get mad at the game. It's like, why am I not getting the pattern? And you have to kind of analyze that and capitalize on it.
And the game is pretty giving with checkpoints.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
you're never going into a boss battle with like low health and low items. You're typically fully equipped.
Marky says, I'm 18 hours in the Kana playing on hard. Good value. Old Taco says, Mario Galaxy 2 had Sunshine throwback levels, but changed around mechanics for Sunshine to be enjoyable. Galaxy 2 does Sunshine better than Sunshine.
Everything
Ian's-
does Sunshine better than Sunshine.
Whoa. Okay. Ian says, I have never played a Mega Man game, but have wanted to try them out. Would you recommend Mega Man or Mega Man X for a total noob? I like Mega Man X more, but you can't go wrong. The collections are almost always on sale. You can get one of the collections for like $10, and it has like 5 Mega Man games in it. So I just pick up one or even both of them and see what you think. I like X though. X is good. Shinru says, I almost want to return Metroid Dread because of hearing how bad the people who worked on the game are treated. Just credit those who worked on it Mercury Steam. Be kind to those who worked hard. Jonathan says, have any of you played Tales of Arise? It's my game of the year. I'm still playing it. It's a long game, and I keep getting sidetracked with other games. But yes, I'm going to finish it before the Game Awards. I am going to do it.
It is a good game.
I'm 20 hours into it. So I think I'm like halfway done.
I'm like 10 hours into it. I got sidetracked with Dread and the Crisis Trilogy.
How long actually is that game?
I think it's supposed to be almost 40 hours. I think 36, 40 hours. I think.
So many games I have to play. Like, it looks cool. I watch people play, and I'm like, it looks fun.
I mean, it's fairly linear in the Tales sense. It's a corridor
You have
RPG.
to level up, though, right? It's not something you can just go through with the story. Like, there's sometimes you have to grind, right?
I've had to grind a couple of times.
Yeah. That's what sucks. That's what catches me.
Yeah. Mr. Job says, thanks, Nate, for the Tetris Effect recommendation last week. That was a good recommendation.
Oh, that game is amazing.
Nye says, why people still care about awards, isn't sales more important? I mean, technically, yes, but I mean, the awards is something that everyone gets to kind of talk about and go over at the end of the year. So, and we have a whole show to look forward to where they're going to announce, different games. It's more entertainment, basically. Justin says, Life is Strange True Colors Game of the Year nominee, period. Jose says, just beat Neo 2 and the expansion. M says, Splatoon is easily the most overrated. I was like, I had to look at Click's reaction on that.
Overrated. Are you just bad?
Sean says, what kind of upper was in the banana nut bread?
What kind of what, bro? No, I can't. Hold on. We're gonna. Am I at the RGT tonight? What is going on?
Yes.
I can't handle caffeine. I can't handle no substances. Yo, girl, anything crazy I do or any amped up I get, that's the rage within. You know what I mean? Like, I can't. I don't do it. Like, I drink coffee and I.
She got some caffeine, or she was like dancing around in the back of Wood's panel.
Bro. No, because he did say something and it resonated with me. So I was like,
And then
so it's time to dance.
Yeah, I don't like.
He said Hades was like his favorite indie game on the Switch, and Click was like, "It's time to dance." All right,
Hades.
All right.
Yeah, come on, man. You don't need substances to have fun.
Shadow of Nexus says Cyber Shadow should be game of the year. Thomas says, do you guys think Nintendo will make a blockchain game in the future? I'm going to say probably not. Didn't work out for Cookie Mama. Shinru says, should Nintendo have done a la carte style for the online? Maybe 10 for NES, 20 for Super Nintendo, 30 for 64. That just seems like that would get real confusing real fast.
Yeah, it's way too many options.
Lala then counters Nate by saying, Nate, what are Yankees off-season moves since their season was cut short dramatically and sadly?
I would get rid of Boone.
Embarrassingly, even. Go on. Sorry.
What? I would fire Aaron Boone. He's gone. They already got rid of the rest of the coaching staff. So get rid of Boone. Start fresh with the fresh, brand new coaching staff and manager. Sign Rizzo. Get rid of Joey. He couldn't hit. Definitely make some trades. You need to get another starting pitcher. Our ace with Garrett Cole only threw 2 innings against the Red Sox in the wild card game. You need a better ace. You need an ace that can go 6 solid innings in a playoff start.
Well, you should fight. You should get rid of whoever allowed the Red Sox to beat you.
Red Sox are technically the higher ranked wild card, so
Is this Sportscast?
Joe says
there's a lot of moves the Yankees have to make in this offseason if they want to be contenders next year. You got to sign Aaron Judge to a long-term contract.
Joe says, I love you all.
Fenway Park has to get rid of the Green Monster because it robbed Giancarlo Stanton, 2 home runs in the wild card
Oh
game.
my
To the
gosh,
point where
let
he
it
sat there
go.
and said,
Let it
instead of
go.
me hitting it to left center field, I'm just going to hit it to right field and hit a home run, which he
Aw,
did.
Let's feel bad for the millionaires. Joe says, I love you all. I really look forward to seeing you every Saturday after work. Please keep it up. Let's go over to MVG. Where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Modern Vintage G and on YouTube at Modern Vintage Gamer. Check out my video that I dropped today about my thoughts on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion, and I will have a new video out on Monday as well.
Okay. What about Jordan Fringe?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You can find me at Jordan Fringe on YouTube. We're about to hit, I think tonight or in the morning, 125,000. Thank you for the support on the content this week has been really incredible, and I'll be streaming more on Twitch at Jordan Fringe on Twitch as well.
Got my clapper for you, Jordan.
Truly Epic says new Saints Row gameplay looks pretty good. I think the aesthetic is the only thing that's really turning a lot of people off of that game. And then Andrew says, what is unique or innovative about Kana? I think the idea of kind of mixing kind of the Pikmin, the idea of kind of the Pikmin gameplay with some of the action adventure elements. I just like the visual style of it. I think it looks pretty good. And considering it was made by a smaller studio, I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. The visual, I think it's the visual and the atmosphere for sure that they have. It's like a Pixar movie if it was like a video game.
Achievement says Nintendo announces Switch Party Chat tied to expansion pack. Marky says not buying Xbox fridge till it holds a slab of MB. Then we have this is from gaming saying hot wieners. That is all.
That's an interesting super chat.
That's the way it is. Evan, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter, Chimerics Project. If I'm ever doing anything live,
Double check Streamlabs real quick.
I've got projects coming up, you can check out there. I'll usually post up what I'm doing there throughout the week.
Did you just post a bunch of hot wieners in the chat?
We have the ability to do that.
I'm just saying people can spam it right now if they want. I'm okay with it.
We have the ability to. Is that like an emoji we have?
It's a standard emoji.
Wow.
That's an emoji that comes with the internet, John. That's not.
They
Don't
were
even need
ahead
an
of-
expansion pack.
They were ahead of it. They were ahead of Nate on that one. Wow.
They knew the wieners was coming.
Couple of Streamlabs. Mobeast Gaming says doing an epic nostalgia game night sleepover with my buddies. Got a couple arcade sticks, a trophy for a tournament, using a Series S for emulation, getting pizza and wings. Any recommendations to make this night even more epic? Mario Strikers.
That's a good call.
You're welcome. Jay Cannon says, I think they're testing a DLC style Game Pass. They increase their subscription base and also increase the sales of older games. Example, I have Nintendo Switch Online for Mario Kart and Smash, but I don't own Zelda. Oh, I get this free DLC with my Nintendo Switch Online. I'll buy Zelda.
Embrace the wall of wieners.
Sure. Block, no message here. Thanks, Block.
The wiener wall.
Pyra says with the new Switch Online tier, what do you think of the perspective of Nintendo Switch Online is still cheaper than buying all games on a virtual console individually? In my opinion, for someone into all those games, it works out, but sucks for someone who only wants Zelda or something. Well, even Zelda, if you bought it physically, is still pretty expensive, but compared to obviously what we had on the Wii U, yeah, like I kind of see that. Mithra says, hey, MG, since you and Nate's podcast about Switch 4K, I've been thinking about Linux Proton Layer, but don't know much about how it works. Would something like that work for a next-gen Switch, or would it still need patches for every single game?
Need patches.
DGen says, it was wonderful meeting everyone at Too Many Games. I also don't feel the Nintendo Switch Online expansion is worth $50, but you know what is worth $50? The Spawncast. Love you guys.
Hey.
Thanks, DGen. I
you.
appreciate that. And I think that is...
Look at all these hot wiener emojis.
Isn't
being
it great?
Gosh, why?
In Twitch chat too, which is usually a bit slower.
Really, even in Twitch? Wow.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Spreading the
I think I
wiener
brought it up
love.
before.
Oh, gosh.
Rob Gronkowski did an interview, and he said, whenever I am in the Rhode Island
Jesus
region
Christ.
playing the Patriots, I go to Oneyville, and
Wesley,
I get myself a couple hot
cares
wieners with
about-
a glass of coffee milk.
No one
Leslie,
cares about Ron.
Rob.
Question
Wes-
authority. Think for
Rob
yourself. Thanks for
Gronkowski,
watching.
Wesley, oh, real quick, Wesley asked, did y'all hear the Resident Evil 4 is coming to Oculus 2 and VR? Yes, I'm actually going to try to check that out. I think that'll be interesting. Toshiri says, does everyone in the family plan for expansion pack get access to the Animal Crossing DLC? I'm going to say yes, but I cannot confirm that. Everyone in the family plan get access to the Animal Crossing DLC.
I think what people were saying is like it's individual, so everybody gets their own
Right.
DLC. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, very good, very good. I guess that's gonna do it here for the Spawncast. Thanks everyone for joining. It is just a wall of hot dogs in the chat right now.
Wieners.
Guys got the cutest wieners around.
Hot wieners.
Hot damn
Okay.
picture of a hot dog.
Okay, thanks everyone for joining us.
Bobby.
We'll be back next
Dang it,
Saturday night,
Bobby.
9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you guys then.
Yeah,
Think
yo,
for
man, you
yourself.
got the hot dog in the wiener bun? Yeah.
Question authority.